There we go. And continue on with roll call. Sweet Donna C., the gorgeous DM. We call her our resident Red Deer Rebel. Yes, Red Deer Rebel. The gorgeous Xochitl Paez. And Mennonite Abe, what's happening, man? Richard Elmore, what's up? Magnus Ver Magnuson, good to see you. Jurassic Joey, thanks for joining us tonight. Will we get through this tonight? I don't know. Tits McGee is here. She'll be filling in for Veronica Corningstone, who is on vacation. And BF Bud, what's happening? Mr. Lee 3PO, good to have you back. And the gorgeous Jenny, what's happening? Hi, Sparkles, over on Facebook. Nice to see you, love. Advocate for UFO Disclosure, nice to have you here. And there's Sonny from Paranormal Chop Shop. Wes H., what's happening, brother? The gorgeous Laura Tarnowski has returned home. Yes, she has. Johnny Music, what's going on? And who else do we have here? Pyromedic, good to see you. Good morning to you, or good evening, wherever you are. Solar Warden, nice to have you here. The stunning Sammy Spiritual Journey has returned. 59 or 509er, what's happening? Chad Smith is here. The Chad Smith, everyone. And we only got about 10 seconds. Gorgeous Jessica McCreary, how are you? And do we got time for one more? Rono do me a favor, horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. And it's another great show for you tonight on the mighty SOR. Connor Flynn from Bigfoot Anon on YouTube and TikTok is here to talk hairy monsters all night long. Then in hour 3, we're going to go to Swamp Dweller and bring you another spooky story from the swamp. And the fedora-wearing John Hudson comes back for the unbiased UFO report, Shirky Poo's news, and, of course, the thought of the Dave. Connor Flynn is originally from Cleveland, Ohio, now resides in the Panhandle of the swamps of Florida. That's where he's running into Bigfoot and all the strange happenings that happen in Florida. How many Florida men are actually hiding out there? We don't know. On the side, he referees sports, chases cryptids, he hunts for treasures. He's written 4 paranormal books, lived out of his car, and appeared in movies like Zillafoot and The Void Cat. But right now, his focus is on the legend of Bigfoot. And this is what we are talking with him tonight, and very proud to have him here. Connor Flynn, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. First off, right off the bat, man, got to compliment you. That is a great length of hair you have there, because I like good hair. You got fantastic hair, and I'm a little jealous right now. You're about 9 inches longer than I got, and that sounds really bad that I just said it that way. Holy cow.
Yeah, pause. But yes, I definitely appreciate that, man, because I look at them like they are my antlers. They are my antennas. They are my whiskers. They are my connection to the universe. There is a reason why the Native Americans, why the rock stars, and why Jesus Christ himself, and maybe even these hairy people, why they grow their hair out. It helps you with your instincts and just your inner peace. So I love it, man. And plus, I've saved a lot of money on haircuts because I work right next to a barbershop, and I hear those guys moaning and groaning and talking about after a tip, they spent $26, and I'm like, for that? Oh my gosh. But yeah, I love it, man. I feel like Ragnar Lothbrok.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. You know, why cut the locks, man? Why cut them? I mean, you know what happens when you cut it too much? You get bald. You do. You do. I don't want to go bald. So, anyways, we're going to talk hair all night long here. No, we are not. I got to ask you right off the bat, what got you into Sasquatch?
Oh, man, just growing up in Cleveland, the mistake on the lake, Lake Erie, all the eeriness just surrounding it, but the grass, man. And I grew up hiking, hunting, biking, fishing. So when I was out with my grandfather, Mohican, in the Ohio Valley near Moundsville and Bellsville and Barnesville, there are so many stories of the grass man, of these wood giants. And man, it's just really gravitated towards me. And I still talk to, people from my childhood, and they're like, "Oh, you're still chasing Bigfoot?" And it's really refreshing to hear that that's who they knew me as a grade schooler. That's who they knew me as on Pee Wee football. Every October, we'd always go to the Witch's Ball in all these haunted places, and I was always the one encouraging it, giving more information. So it's really in my blood. And the Grinch, Shrek, and pretty much the missing link between us and the creator has always pushed me to Sasquatch. And of course, Unsolved Mysteries had multiple episodes about it. And then just growing up, man, in that Ohio Valley, we heard of werewolves, gremlins, giants, and then just haunted castles and weird Crybaby Bridge stuff, man. So I was born right into it. The land of 10,000 mounds in Ohio, man. So I was surrounded by it, and even had some mounds in my backyard. I can't guarantee that they were, connected or related to the paranormal or to Native Americans, but we definitely had some strange activity on our back door, our back porch, and even inside our house. And that's what I pretty much represent, is we don't have to go out and watch scary movies and graphic novels. I love them, but we have to keep our guard up, because it will find you. And best believe on this earth, they try to paint it as just black and white, but it is so much stranger than anyone could ever imagine.
What do you think Sasquatch is? This is part of the great debate mainly that happens, between, those who are allegedly doing scientific research into this, which I always have a good laugh at, and those who are more into the spiritualist side of it, saying that, look, like a lot of First Nations and American Indians believe that this is a very special creature that has its own unique abilities. Where do you stand in that argument?
Yes, they are definitely the ancient ones, and they are the closest ones to the Creator. I think they are pure with Mother Nature, and that's why they have the infrasound and echolocating and maybe the cloaking abilities with their protons and electrons, man. We are particle form, solid most of the time, but we have the ability to become waveform, and I think those creatures have been outside adapting to this plethora of paradise, that they can manipulate their vibrations to that level, if they are masters of their craft, of course. I think they are the ancient people. There are so many reports of them actually mating with human beings, but then it gets kind of crazy with, the skunk ape and the rougarou, and we know all of them have been classified as Bigfoot or misidentified, and so they definitely have different roots, but again, I think they are natural beings with supernatural tendencies, but I think you and I, Dave, would be too, if we didn't have the Wi-Fi zapping us, the fluoride in our water, and just the everyday pettiness and also pressure of the modern society breaking down on us. They don't have that in the forest. Theirs is just survive. And after a weekend camping, you feel closer to Earth, man. Even 10 minutes in the dark, you will adapt a little bit. So imagine how far they've came. So they are the just true Earthlings, but they are very curious to us. Are they descendants of Cain? Are they Nephilim? Are they Titans? I don't know, man, but it's a really close connection with us, because the things I've seen out there and the reports I've read, and mountains used to be alive, and Jack and the Beanstalk is real, and Lord of the Rings is based on a true story. So there's a lot of strangeness out there that Harry and Henderson, he might be our protector, our gatekeeper, but that can work, good and bad.
Well, you brought up a very good point there, that the majority of people out there, my friend, they don't know what it's like to spend in the forest. You know, I try and get out. When I lived in the city near Vancouver, man, I was never in the forest. And then I took up ATVing, where I, wanted to go through all these trails. And, dude, it was powerful. But now where I live, even though I still go ATV riding all the time, when it's not like 25 below zero here and not 4 feet of snow, there is, trails that go on forever. But people don't realize, and we have lost that aspect of how much Mother Nature cleanses you, man. And I fully am 100% in your court on this, because I can go out even for a drive in nature. Say I'm driving real slow to see some deer or wild horses, even though I'm looking for Bigfoot. But, I'm not going to tell anybody that. Well, yes, I will. That's just who I am. But even though I'm out in the forest and in my vehicle, and I get out for a few minutes just to kind of walk amongst some trees, it literally drains you. Energy. Like that nature, it's like its job is to purify who you are. And if Sasquatch is purified by that, I could just imagine what kind of abilities it has.
100%, man. And he's also in touch with all the fungus, the mushrooms out there, all the stones and gems. So imagine that. He's just using nature and also all the vibrations that we can only see when we're deep in meditation or remote viewing or after a psychedelic potion, just to open up the doors and the electricity of our brains. I just look at them like their vibrations and the electric going through their brain waves, and man, they're just magic, walking magic, and we are a kind of simplified version of that. And that's why I'm reaching for that so far, because even if I'm, 2 steps forward, 1 step back enough times, I'm going to get some kind of connection, and even just the healing in the meantime, man. There is a harmony. There's a synchronization. There's a beautiful thing going on in the forest out there at all times. And now we can see it, when they tap in those instruments into trees and into plants, they are singing to each other. So imagine that with the ancient ones, really healing the forest and becoming one. They could silence the grid, and they can, probably use the ravens and the bugs to kind of scout or maybe even see through their eyes. And once you watch enough animated movies like Missing Link, Abominable, Littlefoot, Son of Bigfoot, Bigfoot Family, they sneak in these realities. And just right by you, man, the Seattle Supersonics. You're telling me the NBA, the David Stern, the commissioner, whoever's the owner, they knew that Sasquatch was supersonic. So again, some people have to stick in a strict box to just try to prove the existence, and I respect that and understand that. But these creatures are so much more than that, and I've experienced it on good and bad terms. I've definitely been zapped by infrasound, but I've been led out of the forest when I've been desperate. And I've also seen my buddy Matt from Squatch in South Florida. I have it on camera. He got zapped by something after we discovered a footprint, and he was down for about 5 minutes, and now he's been having like reoccurring dreams and reoccurring feelings. So I think these creatures can reach out to you in multiple realms, and I definitely have notes in my book from scribbling in the morning about seeing these creatures and my grandparents' farm in my dreams. But it feels so real, and we're asleep most of our life, so we have to wake up before it's too late.
Well, at least you don't have a friend like I do, Timber Hunter, a.k.a. Little Marky Spender, who says that if we ever get into trouble with one of these creatures, he's going to shoot me in the leg, so that way I'm the bait, so he can get away. That's true friendship right there,
Oh, yeah. I've had a few of those on my path, but when the time gets rough, it's just survive. When you're hearing weird whispers and seeing strange lights from a golf course that you snuck onto, it comes teamwork, man. Survive or die, because if one of us gets caught, a chance they're going to take us all out. So I hope your friend wouldn't do that in crunch time, but some people act strange when terrorizing things happen. So definitely, be wary of that guy.
Well, what's funny about Mark, and I always love to tell this story, is he never believed in Sasquatch. He's been a wolf tracker, a mountain lion tracker. He's been a hunting guide, been in the forest for 35. No, he's close to 50 now. So, I mean, at that age, when you go out at that age, you got to make sure you don't break a hip because there ain't no coming back from that. So, I mean, yeah, and I'm only saying that because I know he's listening right now, and he's like, you jerk. But nonetheless, he never believed in Sasquatch. He's like, dude, I've been in the forest for 35 years. I would have seen something. Until one day I showed him a print. And he kneeled down at that print for about 15 minutes, and all he could say was, I can't believe it. What the hell is this? I can't believe it. Dave, honestly, what is this? And I said, welcome to the world of Sasquatch. A few weeks later, we went back to that same spot, and we were kind of looking to see if there was more prints around. And literally, it's just him and I standing there. And you made a comment that reminded me of this story, where everything went silent. And that's when you got to be careful. Like, for a lot of your listeners, because I know you're broadcasting this live on TikTok right now, and hello to your chat room, Bigfoot Anon. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok as well. I'm going to take the shameless plug because that's my airtime.
Yes.
But everything went silent. And I'm looking in one direction, and you know that feeling, Connor, when you're looking all around the forest, but your eyes keep leading you to this one area. And I'm a firm believer, man, that one area right there is something there. You just got to figure it out. And way in the distance to Mark's left, I'm on Mark's right, way in the distance to Mark's left, we hear heavy footprint or heavy foot stomps, like thump, thump, thump. And Mark's carrying a gun with us, and I'll tell you, he loaded that shotgun real slow to make it loud. And I'm staring down this one area, not even paying attention to Mark, even though we're both getting goosebumps. And I'm like, come on. Like, telepathically, like, come on. I know you're there. Give me a signal. And like you said, Sasquatch has a way to set things off when it needs to in the forest. So what happens, like 10 seconds after I said, come on, just give me a sign, from about 60, 70 yards ahead of us in the forest, I hear nature's security bell go off, which is a squirrel, start chirping away right at that area where I was looking, man. And in my mind, and I don't know if it's true or not, maybe it was a bird or something else, right? But in my mind, it was like, that is just way too coincidental that I'm thinking telepathically, come on, just do something. And within seconds, that squirrel starts chirping away right at the area where I was talking, man. It was weird.
That's definitely a sign, and your sixth sense picked it up, man, and I'm huge on your eyes having special abilities. If you look at your eye from a horizontal level, I believe it is the model of the world. So, of course, the soul and them, it's all magnetized, man, and me and Sonny were talking about it. You have that instinct that you're able to somehow pick out in a room when someone's looking at you. So it's the same thing in the forest. And when you really can't find it, it sends your senses into overdrive in pure survival mode. So then you see a squirrel, and man, that's like the holy grail for you. So that's very special. And I've definitely been in similar situations that you definitely get paralyzed in your body and also your surroundings and environment. And it feels like you're in a sunken place. You feel like you're in Get Out, Jordan Peele, just trying to swim back to the control room. And I've definitely been stumped in multiple situations, inside my tent and on the path myself.
For people who may not be familiar with your work in this field, as we got about 5.5 minutes to go before we go to break, what was your first encounter with Sasquatch?
When I was 12 years old, I was with my buddy Jake and Alex, and it was a couple weeks after they had a late daytime encounter. So I heard about this strange creature. They called it the Wolfman of Sleepy Hollow, and it's in Brunswick, Ohio, a really haunted spot. There was an abandoned drive-in theater and a swimming hole with a cement diving spot. And after many reports, I've heard that these dogman creatures, which I think this was a dogman, that happened way before the term dogman was thrown out. We always called it the Wolfman. But they are gravitated towards human-made, things that are long abandoned. They're found in railroad tunnels. It's very strange. So it all starts to add up. And then, but we were hanging out Friday night after or before a golf league the Saturday morning, and we were playing pool down in his basement. And he has a walkout basement, huge glass windows that go into his backyard into a den and cliffs. It was called Caves and Cliffs. There was tons of caves that we would scamper around, but they were deep, probably into the aquifer and Middle Earth. But after a while of playing pool, we had a strange feeling. And Alex actually describes it as physically hearing rustling outside. Me personally, I think we internally heard it. This thing awakened our senses, maybe with infrasound or maybe something even more just passive, just alerting us that we're out there. But we had our sixth sense, we turn off the lights, and we start looking outside through this small window, and we see this hulking figure that is blacker than night. My buddies say that their eyes were glowing and it kind of hypnotized them, but I was really just paralyzed that it was existing after hearing about it for so long. After what felt like, minutes, probably just a split second or so, I dove into the staircase. We waited for a while. We turned back the lights on. We start looking outside. We don't see it. And then we try to watch a movie. We're watching Saving Private Ryan. And we end up getting so scared. I remember being curled up in a ball, just shaking, thinking this thing could just break through the glass and take us into oblivion. We go upstairs, all the way from the basement to the upstairs. And his parents ask us the next morning, they're like, why'd you leave the playroom? It just didn't make sense. We tell them we saw a creature. And she says, you know what? I've heard man-like owl calls every single night since we've moved in. And we went out, after that, but didn't really have any more strange activity. But I feel like all of us were marked since then, maybe chemically or something deeper than that on a spiritual level, because those two have had many UFO encounters together, and then Jake and I have had many Sasquatch encounters. We encountered a thing called the werebear, or a bear cat, at my grandparents' house in the Ohio Valley when it dropped down on me and my dog and his two blue heelers. And it wasn't very aggressive, and it looked like a dog with mange, but it was big as my black lab. So I feel like these creatures that are out there are kind of magnetized to us, and that might be the electricity in our brain from awareness or some kind of marking, some kind of spiritual level, or again, some kind of, particle, wave, electron interference and contamination, really.
We got 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break tonight. We have Connor Flynn from Bigfoot Anon here on Spaced Out Radio. You talk a lot about the spiritual connection that you feel you have with this. Why have you made it a thought process that this is a spiritual connection and not just pure luck of running in and being at the right place at the right time?
Definitely a lot has to do with luck, of course, but sometimes you can shape your luck. And, I'm Irish, so it started with that, of course. And then I'm the son of a twin. And a lot of research and projects show that our antennas are bright. And I realized that life is pretty much psychedelic and very metaphysical. And the modern society is pushing us into a very simplified life, and I just know there's more. So I just open my mind wide to the paranormal, to the UFOs, and to these hairy creatures, just because I know they exist. So what else is out there? What are they hiding from us? And it really starts with the mound builders, man. Who taught the Native Americans about medicine and spiritualism? There had to be something, man. And Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, they talked about it. Their bones scatter America and also every other continent. And newspaper articles have talked about it, and many movies have referenced it. But again, I think there is a world below our feet, and then also up in the sky, up in the trees. Jack and the Beanstalk and the Hobbit, guys. It really comes to life. And the Descent and Exist and Harry and the Hendersons are all just getting us ready for this upcoming pretty much lifestyle that we're going to be coinciding with these creatures very soon.
It's funny you say that. I was on the phone today with a member of a First Nations just north of me here, and I was asking him about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and he's like, "Do you a lot of the First Nations up here? They don't like getting into those talks with the white man because we've made fun of them for so many years." And he's like, "Do you really believe in this?" I said, "Sir, I've seen two of them. and I've been chased out of the forest once by them, and I've seen footprints. I said, yes, I'm a very large believer. He's like, you have to keep putting the spirit and the intention out there, because that's what brings them in. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and we're going to get more into that. Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anon on YouTube and on TikTok. We say hello to everyone listening in, potentially for the first time tonight. We love you, and we'll continue the Sasquatch talk right after this. All right, we're clear. And can your audience hear me on TikTok right now?
Yep,
okay.
Definitely.
So we got a lot of new people thanks to you in our chat room and your TikTok audience who are watching right now. I just want everybody to know we actually are a live radio show, so that's why we actually have to take breaks, but you are able to hear everything we do behind the scenes of Spaced Out Radio on our YouTube, and of course, thanks to Connor going live on his TikTok with this. On TikTok as well. So don't be afraid or worried what the hell is this all about? This isn't a normal podcast, because we're not a podcast. We are a live radio show. So just thank you so much for your patience and understanding. I just want to explain that to everybody.
Heck yeah, man. I'm all about BTS, behind the scenes. I've been on a few film productions, and I've had speaking lines in feature-length movies. And then I watch the movie, and there goes my speaking line. So, yes, a lot happens chopping and shopping behind the scenes. But, yes, man, everybody on TikTok, go follow Spaced Out Radio. We're at 1,600 likes. I'm sure we'll have a couple thousand viewers at the end of the show.
Right on. I'm going to hop into your chat room here and say, hi, everybody.
That will definitely help. Just so that you know how people are. They need to click something rather than type it in. But I appreciate everybody being in here. Now I can look at the comments for a little bit. Special shout out to Thin Lizzie Borden for booking this show. Bree is so dope. Take a dab for me, Bree.
She's pretty awesome, and she's doing so well at starting to build our TikTok account. I'll tell you, we've made some very good additions on our team, and she is one of those great additions that just is helping us grow and become a little bit better each and every day. And we owe her a lot with the rest of the team as well. And our big man, Vin Man, in the chat room as well. I see you sexy, bald son of a gun. And, we're going to continue on here. Let me just say, I'm just scrolling through the chat room here on my end. I want to say hello to Kepsa, and who else has jumped on in here? Bushwhacking with Rooster, welcome to SOR chat. And who else haven't I am only saying people who I haven't said hello to yet this evening. Digger Dog, and let's see, Knight Rider, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Christopher Branham, welcome to the show. And who else do we have here? Oh, my goodness. This chat is killing it tonight. Killing it tonight. I'm having a Smoky Mountain Wanderer, how are you? And holy cow. I'm still like 2 minutes behind, and I can't catch up. Dark Winter Wolf, nice to see you. I think I'm almost there. Wagon Breath, November 3rd, how are you? Video Game Player, nice to see you. John Doe, thanks for coming on in. I'm caught up. I'm caught up. I always get this anxiety, dude, if I don't say hello to my audience. Just one of those things, man.
Hey, you do a great job, man.
Thanks,
and you have
Mike.
an awesome community. You definitely own the freaking night. And it's a special place. It's something that everybody can look forward to. And it gets you through the day, even just a percentage. You're doing good things, man. And I feel like all of us, we're there for each other. And this community is a special place. And that's why I'm big on be loud and proud with it. I work at a comic book store, and I get laughed at about believing in Bigfoot and the paranormal and ghosts, but I'm very, stand strong, and I'll provide them evidence if they want, or if they want the fun stuff, I can get wild too.
I love it, man. I love your energy, dude. Love it. You're almost making my Bigfoot buddy, Little Marky Spender, actually wake up. He's probably lazing down on his lazy boy right now, shirt off, in his 7-day-old underwear with cheesies all over, the cheesy orange all covering his chest hair. I can guarantee it right now. Gorgeous Magic Maiden, how are you? Nice to see you. Kevin Regan, thank you for coming on into our chat room for the first time. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe on our channel. We are here 7 days a week. We have Lynn Wallington coming in on Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday. You definitely want to catch her show. And then after her, we have the After Hours Club with John, Gemma, and Big Willie hanging on out. Literally, we are here 7 days a week. We have nothing better to do with our lives than to broadcast to all of you. And there's Crystal Light looking good tonight. And, God, this is moving. And once again, if you're on TikTok, because I'm going to shameless plug this, our listeners need to go over to Bigfoot Anon, hit subscribe on his channels on TikTok and on Facebook, and here we go, everyone. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Check out Bumblefoot's music, Shirky Poo's news, our swag. We got some cool stuff there. And, of course, follow us on social media, Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Connor Flynn is here. Bigfoot Anonymous is the man. Look for him at Bigfoot Anon on YouTube and on TikTok, where he's got, I believe, over 26,000 subscribers. Wow, dude, that's phenomenal. I mean, imagine that, 26,000 subscribers, that everybody's following you on your quest to try and find Sasquatch and see what you are doing. Did you ever think that it would take off like that?
Man, it is 36, though.
Oh, 36. I apologize.
But I have worked so hard my whole life for providing good entertainment, great knowledge, wild adventures. I made music through high school, gained a little bit of a following through that. I was always a writer with my school newspaper. I was always making YouTube videos, and this finally found my lane. Like I was telling you, I started off as a referee, and that's what brought me down to Florida. And now I'm going back the same exact weekend, National Championship Flag Football, me speaking at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference. So it's a transcendence, man. But I did see it exploding like that, of course, because I work hard, but it's still mind-blowing every single day. Like, I upload a video, and I'm like, oh, man, only 3,000 the first hour, only 900 the first hour, 11,600 views in the first 40 minutes. It's crazy seeing it explode. And when I'm live, man, and it gets shared out, I had 4,000 people on 2 Skunk Ape adventures with me, and at the very least, I'm just spreading awareness and just hit 200,000 likes, and views come and go. It's the scroll, but for them to actually like it, they appreciate it for a little bit. So all I'm trying to do, raise awareness, raise appreciation. I have a lot of fun doing it. I share my own videos on there. I share my homies from the Bigfoot community. We have Flat Rock Booger up in Alabama. He has tons of activity on his property. He's had them walk on his porch, open up his doors, bang on the side of his house. One of his videos that I uploaded just hit 2 million views, and that's just wild and crazy when you actually think how many people those are. And a lot of people are like, BS, TikTok, who cares about that? people are people, guys. That's still people out there. There's a good chance there's people we know in real life that will see something that we've, indented in this world. So just spread your wings loud and proud through as many platforms as you can. And that's what I represent, man. And the TikTok age group represents from young to old, all around continents, and there's professors, explorers, and high-level professionals on it. So it's awesome to mix it up, man. And I'm really just getting started with TikTok and YouTube, and it's really part of my journey. And I'm also in real life with this as well. Every single day, I'm spreading awareness, interviewing people at the comic book shop, and then going to people's houses who've had encounters activity. So it's my life, and I've definitely been on the outside of a lot of circles, and some parts of society would be like bum, hobo. I lived out of my car. Some people spit at me. Some people look different at me. But when you hit rock bottom and you really follow your path, all your needs will be met in abundance. And I've met so many people that have doubled me down in depth. I was cool when I was up in Ohio, but then I lived out of my car to Florida and then across America and back, and really had to rely on my instincts and also good people. But it's, you treat people how you want to be treated, and most of the time good things happen. But I've definitely been interrogated by police officers and on the run from crazy people banging on my car, and I've slept at state parks and gas stations and Walmart. So I've seen a lot of things high and low, and it's really made me into a person that's ready for the paranormal. I've shedded a lot of my modern BS and really depersonified as much as I could. But of course, it all comes back sometimes.
I got to ask you, because I know what it's like to go into the thick, dense forests here in British Columbia, where we have trees that are standing 90, 100 feet tall, and, you can't even get your arms around, a quarter away around them. And it is beautiful, it's picturesque, it's stunning. But coming from British Columbia, where I am, and looking way down, almost 4,000 miles southeast to Florida, where there's swamps and there's a lot of stuff that can kill you in there, man. I mean, I would sooner go against a grizzly bear than a crocodile or an alligator. That's just, or one of them big snakes things that you got there. All right, because we don't have snakes up where I am. That's why I like living here. All right, except these little garter snakes that make me scream like a little girl when I'm, trying to cut a tree down for firewood. Yeah, that happened. But,
well said, man. We have a lot of deadly things down here, ranging from the mosquitoes, the scorpions, the venomous spiders and snakes. I've filmed a giant eastern diamondback rattlesnake, big cottonmouths, copperheads. Even green and yellow anacondas are invasive. And I'm here in the Panhandle, where there is elevation changes and caverns, and also crocodiles, caiman, and alligator, and also other strange serpents like the Pensacola serpent and the other one that's in the Apalachicola River that some people think it's some type of thing that has swam down from Georgia like Altamahaha. It's basically like Nessie of America.
Okay, so looking at everything that can pretty much kill you and eat you down there, all right, why do this? Because from everything that I have heard about the Sasquatch or the skunk apes, whatever you want to call them down in Florida, okay, this is one pissed off creature down there, man. It's not happy. And looking at the environment and the things it needs to do to survive, I can understand where it's not happy.
Definitely. There's a lot of reports of them being angry because a lot of these people down here in the swamp, they're not scared to, shoot their guns and aim at them. But there are tons of positive stories. One of my favorites comes from Ocala, right in Central Florida. This young girl had a compound fracture deep in the woods and was bleeding out. And a female Sasquatch, an orange orangutan lady that the camper later said that she was probably pregnant, she ended up picking her up, scooping her up, and dropping her right at camp. And even the counselors couldn't even say anything because she had a compound fracture. She could not move. She wouldn't have been able to be there, and she wasn't there 3 seconds ago. And that's just one positive story. I've heard of landslides up in your neck of the woods, up in the mountains, where people are trapped, and then they get freed mysteriously. But yes, a lot of the stories are aggressive or at least strong warnings to get out of my woods. And I've had a plethora of those over at Torreya State Park, where Stacey Brown filmed the skunk ape that was on Finding Bigfoot and all over Animal Planet and Discovery Channel. And that is pretty much 10 miles from my house, not far from where one was captured in the 1800s, the Ocheesee Pond Wildman. And I just want to be the Ocheesee advocate for if every guys just remember one thing from Bigfoot Anon. Look up, guys, the Ocheesee Pond Wildman. He was captured in the 1800s after Native American gatherers and Civil War veterans teamed up after women and children were being harassed by this giant hairy man in the Ocheesee Pond swamp. And they captured it. They surrounded it on an island. They sent it to the capital in Tallahassee. The governor said, no way. And they sent it to Chattahoochee Hospital, which is very famous for experimentation. And Gary Oldman was in a movie that's based on that whole hospital. And my good friend Jack McClellan, who's directed the recent movies I've been in, he's the tech guy there. And he lives on campus. So I've been spending a lot of days out there looking for the grave of the Ocheesee Pond Wildman. And they say that he's buried by the abandoned golf course, but also other people say he's in a graveyard with hundreds of Native Americans, and then they built a building on top of them. But there's deep underground military bases. But 3 years later, they said he died, and they buried him away. But I still have hope that he is alive. But I feel like I've been magnetized to this area and paved the way. My grandma and my grandparents and their family, my Aunt Gloria, they lived in Panama City. And I'd come down here as a kid, and I just thought, oh, fun fishing trips, sunshine beaches. But really, it was setting me up for my future. And now I've lived all across America out of the car in Lakeland, punk rock musical, but I've slowed down right down the street from where Donnie Miller had his caveman encounter, right where Stacey Brown got his thermal footage, and right where the Ocheesee Wildman was captured. So it's my duty to live it and breathe it and to spread awareness. And I definitely let people know about the high strangeness in the community, but I also want to warn people too, because some people have taken the hikes and recommendations, and they've actually had to be saved by police officers. My favorite trail, which also goes with all this, the Garden of Eden. It's in the same area. It's a 15 square mile region, which holds the Torreya State Park on Ocheesee Pond. It has 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible, including gopher wood, which is the lightest, strongest wood in the world. The only place the long pine Torreya can be found is right here in the Garden of Eden. So I think the ley lines convergence, all the Native American mounds, it's just a hotbed over here. And every day I'm walking on stained soil and pretty much conversing with Dogman witnesses and hairy man people, and I've even talked to people that are descendants who have captured the Ocheesee Pond. Just yesterday, I was on Gypsy Road live from my comic book store, and 3 guys from the Ocheesee Pond came in, and they all got their own stories. One guy's a radio guy. He has his own homemade earpiece that he can listen to frequencies deep in the swamp and can hear them breathing. And as Jeff Harding said, their heartbeat has infrasound. So imagine what it interferes with our electronics. And just to keep going, man, just today I was in a cave with my mom, and I was filming right where we actually found a footprint a couple months ago, and my flashlight randomly died on camera and everything. It was just pretty wild. But again, how many deadly things live here in Florida? So when we find a bear footprint, it means something.
Do you get a lot of Dogman encounters down there too?
Yes, now that people are being more confident with it, I think a lot of Dogman encounters in the 90s and maybe early 2000s were just lumped in as Sasquatch because people didn't really know how to say it and describe it. But I definitely seek them out because there's a lot of Native Americans here. And one story I reported on, this guy saw it crunched over 7 foot, but then it shapeshift taller than a telephone pole, 30 feet. So that's not just a normal dog man or werewolf. These are skinwalking, weird shape-shifting creatures. But again, I absorb it all and just try to connect the dots. And I also try to be there for the witnesses because there are far-out stories. And sometimes you stumble and fumble on your words, and it's just best to get it out there. And of course, there's going to be naysayers, but the positive people and the people in the shadows that will be saved just from simple awareness is what it's for, man. And I do it for the army in the shadows, the people rooting for you that aren't public, and the people that are reading up and just soaking it in.
I got to ask you, because in that area, there's a lot of people who go missing annually. Because of, maybe they're playing in the swamps or fishing in a secret hole. And, like you said, there's a lot of animals in that area that would love to feed on some stupid humans. Are any of these disappearances down there attributable to either the skunk ape, Sasquatch, or Dogman?
Yes, I believe so. One of the most famous missing 401 cases, Ben McDaniel, is not far from here. I personally don't think that was a Sasquatch, but it is a very interesting case. But the Green Swamp is very well known for illegal aliens going missing and undocumented immigrants going missing, because it has to be hush-hush. But Tim T. in Florida talked to some recent people in the Green Swamp where we research, and a lot of people have gone missing going back decades, and it's just been hearsay because it never officially gets to the books. But here in the Panhandle, a lot of people fall into sinkholes and pits, and they're never heard from again. And Stacey Brown actually recently made a movie with Les Stroud kind of touching on that, but it goes so much deeper, especially when there's creatures in those pits.
Really? What kind of creatures in those pits, man?
I think they are kind of like gremlins, like the Descent. Maybe they are just hairless Sasquatches. A lot of people categorize these wildman creatures into like 5 categories, with the Genasqua and the Gugway, and the ones that look like Neanderthals, and the ones look like apes, and then there's the ones that are hairless. And I actually had an encounter with like a translucent being, and I always called it a prowler, a crawler. I never actually connected it with Bigfoot. It was just another strange creature in the woods. But after talking to Old Bear's Den, who he's been paid to hunt down these creatures, and I take his word for what it is. Again, it's not all right or wrong. It's just more information into my sponge. But he did say there's these hairless race of Sasquatch creatures. So they might just be skinny, hairless creatures that maybe have to be thin to get through some of the rocks. But man, I think they might be classified as the Wendigo or skinwalkers, or even maybe vampires going into times. But there are so many movies about them, ranging from Harry Potter with Dobby, Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and then Gremlins and other Fae. And Gemma Jade has done a great job of saying how Fae can go from little Tinkerbell to 10-foot creatures. So many of these creatures do fall into multiple categories, especially when it's really tense in a situation. But I think they are either these crawling creatures and maybe a different race of man, like Homo erectus, just trying to survive underground, but many different labyrinths underneath our feet. I am big on saying there are more mermaid than people, and probably more Sasquatch beings than us. And people laugh at that, of course, but what? We live in skyscrapers and little doomsday bunkers. They have miles of existence underneath our feet. Just think how many people live in the caves over in China, underneath our feet in the Middle Earth and the aquifer. And if you read between the lines, Jungle Cruise, Disney, Journey Between the Earth. There's so many stories that illuminate it. What was the first thing in King Kong? Oh, we have to get to Middle Earth, and it's dropped right now. So again, just read between the lines of the predictive programming, and maybe you can get a glimpse of what they're going to pull next. But they're putting it right in front of our face. And the Grinch and Shrek we grew up with, and we write in cursive, and we spell words, and we put our teeth under our pillow. So, fairy tales and tooth fairies have always been a part of us. And when we're scared to put our hands out underneath our pillow at night, those are the little people. Those are the people beneath the stairs, the people that come out of the vents. And I've talked to a lot of people that have seen them in mounds and inside their house and with 6 legs and 6 eyes. So, Sasquatch and Mothman and the Lake Erie Monster is honestly very normal compared to a lot of stuff that's actually out there.
Dude, you're tripping me out with these underground hairless Sasquatch that you're talking about, because, it made me wonder, I mean, anything when you hear these monsters that are living in caves or something, it always opens up the door to this so-called inner earth that a lot of people believe in, where the fairy realm is, where a lot of these little people live in, and I'm just wondering, do you think then that Sasquatch may be a part of this Middle Earth?
Definitely. Many people think they are the gatekeepers of Middle Earth. They're the ones that keep us away from the caves that enter there. And it's amazing how synchronicity works, because Long Island Bigfoot, right there, who had the super sticker, he actually has had recent encounters with a caveman creature. And that is like the rake. And they try to throw creepypasta at it, but there is actual roots to reality to this creature. And man, I do think they are living underneath our feet in huge numbers that would blow our mind. And again, we are all best friends with Dobby and Gollum, but you got to be aware of their dark side too. And even just Star Wars, guys. Look at Star Wars. Yoda, and of course Grogu, and then the little puckwudgie creature Ewoks, and then of course the Wookiees and the Force. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Stanley Kubrick, all these high-level film directors, they have exclusive clearance into these archives, and they work beside these people that are using, high-tech experiments and have the access to these creatures. Cabin in the Woods is probably a real story, guys. As you guys know, I love my movies, but I see through them, at least as much as I try to.
Well, true story about Star Wars, when they were filming the Return of the Jedi in Washington State, where the Ewoks live, that they actually had to tell the actor who played Chewbacca not to go wandering off in the forest, because they were afraid that hunters would try and shoot at him thinking that he's a Sasquatch. I mean, this is a true story.
He looks just like a Sasquatch, man. I know there's a comic book that Indiana Jones finds the Wookiee and, of course, Han Solo. So they put it in fiction, but it's right in front of our eyes. And what's the first creature we see? The Abominable Snowman, when he knocks over Luke. So the Abominable Snowman was always very close to my childhood. And we try to get out of it, man, but we write in cursive, man. It surrounds us. Sign this, please.
We have Connor Flynn tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're just about to wrap up the first hour of the show, talking Sasquatch all night long here. We got 2 minutes to go before we got to go to break here. A lot of people who are seeing Sasquatch in the Florida Panhandle where you are they also having any sort of UFO or alien encounters?
Yes, definitely. My good friend Donnie Miller from Standing Goats Rescue, he was abducted by aliens many decades ago in Alabama, which Alabama is UFO capital in America. It's also the Amazon of America, many waterways, and of course UFO activity comes with the mother source. But he has been marked, and he actually broke his wrist many years ago after the abduction, and the doctors said, "Sir, you have a piece of metal inside your bone," and he thinks it's some kind of beacon. And since he has had more than 15 face-to-face encounters with these caveman creatures, it's been on Bigfoot Odyssey, Sasquatch Chronicles. He's seen cyclopses, ones that come in his dreams and mess with his goats. It's really crazy. So I think there is a close correlation. I don't think that the Sasquatch are necessarily driving the UFOs, the spaceships, but if something is intelligent in the sky, then they're going to be interested in the biggest electricity on the ground. So it is all cohesive. And they go back to the cave art and the ancient paintings. There is definitely giants and there's things in the skies. And what about all the petroglyphs and huge mile-long murals on the side of mountains that are communicating? So I think the mound builders were laying the foundation so we could communicate with the gods. And that's where it comes from. The giants came down and met with the women of Earth and traded it for ancient technology. It's pretty wild when you tap into it. And that's why I take Sasquatch so seriously. This is my church. This is my religion. This is my everyday. And we bleed crystals, guys. And I think the titans of our old days used to bleed gold. And that's what we're all seeking now, is just those gemstones that could really ignite our insides.
I'll tell you, your energy is totally rubbing off on everybody tonight. Seriously, man. This is so much fun tonight having you on Spaced Out Radio. We got you for another hour. Connor Flynn from Bigfoot Anonymous, Bigfoot Anon on TikTok and on YouTube. You definitely want to check him on out. Sign up for his channels as well and give him a follow on TikTok because he puts a lot of energy and a lot of emotion into his search for Sasquatch down in Florida. In hour number 2 here, we're going to open it up. If you have any questions, put them in capital letters if you're in one of our chat rooms, and we will get them to Connor in regards to Sasquatch and everything that goes along with it. What a great night here on Spaced Out Radio. The energy is electrifying as we are looking for Bigfoot. And the adventure continues with Connor Flynn in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. Stay tuned. We're clear. That was a power hour, dude. Total power hour.
Yeah, it flew by, but right here in Central Time, it is about to be midnight, so let's soak in those vibes just for a split second, too, because that's definitely powerful, And I'm also very honored to be followed up by Swamp Dweller. I commented on his video last night. I said, make sure you watch Spaced Out Radio, bro, and that he's going to be on it, And Dixie Cryptid, Cryptids Canada, Buckeye Bigfoot, they're all doing great jobs of narrating stories and creating a platform and making it comfortable for people to share. Because sometimes it is pretty intense being on camera, and the passive way of being able to share it and hear it in their nice narrator voice, it's awesome. And then being able to see the spider web of awareness grow and acceptance, it builds for you, man, when you have someone there for you. And that's all I want to be, is there for everybody. And I don't ever want to sound preachy for you guys. I just want to seem like I'm that full of energy ball leading the way. And if you guys have read up on anything that I mentioned, I definitely want you to research it more and run full speed with it, because there's so much out there. And I really appreciate learning more and more every single day. That's what every single day is, a learning experience about yourself internally and so much externally. And you learn so much just shutting up once in a while. Even me, man, I shut up for some of the day.
No, dude, I think you're doing absolutely great. I think you're doing fantastic, and thank you for bringing the energy, man. Really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thanks again to Bree for booking this and making this all possible. It's so wild, manifestation. Like, I've wanted to be on the show for a very long time, but very realistically in the last 50 days. And I was thinking about just reaching out to you through Facebook and be like, hey, man, but then Bree, naturally reached out to me, and it was right after Gemma was talking to me about it. It was so wild how everything falls into place. And again, you just have to walk your walk, and really good things happen to you. But sometimes you do have to battle off the shadows. But a little bit of light can illuminate a whole big cave.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for the energy that you're bringing in here. This has been a lot of fun for me so far. A lot of fun. And I think for our audience, too. So keep it up, man. Keep it up. I want to remind everybody that April 22nd to 24th, we are having the first annual Spaced Out Radio get-together in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are going to be hanging on out. You are more than welcome to come and join us for a weekend of partying and hanging out and talking weird, strange stories. It is not a conference. It is a get-together of SOR friends. I'm going to bring in some friends that you recognize from me interviewing on the show. Lynn Wallington is going to be there. Ben and Joe from UFO Garage are coming on up. And, Chad Smith will be there at heart because, we are all Chad Smith deep down and everything like that. Facebook. Am I okay? I am a little congested right now. A little bit. It's minus 27 degrees outside. It's a tough one. It's a tough push. But nonetheless, everybody is invited. We want you to come hang out. We're going to be partying at the Stratosphere. We're going to be partying at Planet Hollywood. We're going to set up some lunch dates so that way we can hang out and just speak on all the weird stuff that is going on. Not a conference, it's a get-together. It's a gathering. It's about friends. So April 22nd to 24th, pretty soon we're going to have it up on our website where you can register. The first 50 listeners of Spaced Out Radio who register that they are going to be there, I'm going to get you a swag bag of some really cool stuff. So make sure you're there. We want to make sure you're there and enjoy your time in Vegas with us. So put it on your calendar. We want to see you all down in Vegas, April 22nd to 24th. Got to get that shameless plug in there.
Heck yeah, man. And I hope you guys make it out to the Hoover Dam and Lake Mead because there is so much mysteries over there. They say Hoover Dam might be Area 52. There's a deep underground military base underneath there. There's been lots of strange movies about the creatures in Lake Mead and the people going missing there. And Michael Jordan and Denzel Washington have houses that overlook it. I went out there for my 21st birthday, I'm pretty sure, and it was a magical time. I love soaking in tours, and it's really my goal to be a tour guide. So that's pretty much my whole journey is I'm a internet tour guide to the rest of the world, but I've applied to be the tour guide at the caverns around here, but luckily got the job at the bowling alley first, which was a really haunted place, but then it got torn apart by Hurricane Michael, sadly, but I landed gracefully at the comic book store, and now I get to talk about fantasy and lore all day.
That's perfect, man. That is perfect. What was I going to say here? We got about 1 minute. I want to say a big thank you to Dry Toast, Oracles, Phil, Trippy, Ben, Surf Jair ×2, Chad, Fabster, Melissa, Patrick, Christopher, and Long Island Bigfoot for the amazing super chats. Thank you for the love and support. We really do appreciate it. And, of course, if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We are here 7 days a week. I'm here Monday through Friday. We have Lynn Wallington in at 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Sundays for other great interviews. And we have the After Hours show with Gemma, Big Willie, and John in the evening of the weekends. We got you covered 7 days a week here on Spaced Out Radio. So make sure you come on in and entertain yourself with our chat rooms. Hit subscribe. And if you're listening on TikTok, on Connor's channel, don't forget to follow us at Spaced Out Radio. We'd greatly appreciate the love back. Here we go, everyone. Hour number 2 about to kick off.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth, hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Quadraphonic. Quadraphonic is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight talking Sasquatch, Bigfoot, out of the Panhandle of Florida. Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anon, is here. You can find him on YouTube as well as TikTok, as he has one of the bigger Bigfoot channels on TikTok. And Connor, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Your vibes are incredible, and the community is incredible. It really pushes us forward, and I'm a big fan of energy, and this is all shared right here. And it's the red yarn theory, man. We're all tied off. We mean something, guys. All of this has been planned from before. So all of our moments walking up to this led us to here. So we're doing something right, guys. Just absorb it, and let's live the rest of this year to the max, because it's make it or break it time with this existence in plain terrain.
All right, let's kick it off with a question from Kaiju in our chat room. What kind of evidence do you have that you've gathered on Bigfoot and other cryptids?
Yes, great question, man. Love his channel, too. He's put together a lot of crazy videos that it's got a widespread release. Great video editor. But, man, I have had a plethora of evidence, honestly. We have found hair in my ACA and the green swamp that we have put under microscope, and it looks very mysterious. It has clear tendencies to it. It's also green, tan, and black. And we also are going to submit it to some further DNA study, so hopefully it's going to contribute to some big forward steps in this. But I've also got these creatures on camera also walking behind me accidentally that I didn't even know have been sent to me. Two eagle eyes in this world is Long Island Bigfoot and Damien. And after all my videos, they break it down to 0.5 speed, and they bring out the magnifying glass, and they send me tons of screenshots. But I have also photographed some strange creatures in the Honey Island swamp. There was a strange carcass that was like 7 to 9 feet long, and it was all bloated, and the gators weren't touching it. We barely got close to it because it smelled really bad, and all the other boat riders were not for it. But in the background of that as well, saw a dark face and a big, bright white eye. Also by the Chipola River, in a back cam, I got this dark-faced being, and that's probably my proudest picture. And it's the Florida skunk ape, of course, the rod bender, the cabbage man, the stump jumper. There is many stories and many different names for them in pretty much each neck of the woods around here in the Panhandle. But I've also recorded whoops and howls on my GoPro camera, and also just camps I've been part of. Squatch in South Florida, his tent was right next to mine, and his audio picked up 3 knocks, acorns being thrown at our tents, something walking outside of our tent, a gibberish language, and others just strange, weird electric interferences. I've also had my flashlights go out, my videos go sideways, weird audio. While we were recording, trying to find location for the Void Cat, me and Jack McClellan, we filmed about 2 hours all day. No interference, no nothing. We locate a footprint deep in the cave, and boom, the video goes haywire, and his equipment, $1,000 equipment, starts malfunctioning. In the same cave earlier today with my mom, my flashlight went out. So I think there's strong electrical interference. And again, if their heartbeat has infrasound, of course, it is going to go through the grid and affect everything. I have had face-to-face encounters with them in my dreams that I've been able to draw pictures and write about. And again, that is not evidence that's going to send, the scientists up the mountain, but some courthouses, that's enough to send a murderer to jail. So I just try to document as many different ways as I can. And I am very open-minded and a pretty smooth platform, so I have a lot of people reach out to me and send me a lot of footage and pictures. And I know the people that met me in real life, I have showed them the pictures, and they are groundbreaking. They're clear images of Sasquatch, of the creatures, and they're in the Appalachian Mountains, have red hair, pale skin. They are sunburned hard for some of them. But man, my evidence goes in many different ways. I've made casts of their footprints. I took many pictures of footprints that sometimes it might be a feral man or a hitchhiker, but you still have to document it. If it is a barefoot in Florida, they're taking the risk of dying, you have to at least take the picture, and we can do the measurements later. But man, I've gotten thermal images of them also in my ACA. We took 3 thermal images of this big creature. It's probably 6 foot long because it was horizontal up in the tree, and it was right across the river from Mayaca. It's the Mayaca River, right at the bird tower where Cliff Brackman and Stacy Brown had some strange encounters on finding Bigfoot. So again, these are habitual creatures, and I think they are fans of energy themselves, and they like to manipulate us in different ways. But man, a lot of people don't realize that physical evidence is showing up. A lot of my friends up in Tennessee, California, Oregon, and up here in Florida, we have all recovered hair from barbed wire, and it all correlates to something. And I'm not buying the human contamination stuff that they bullied the Ketchum case out of. But we're moving forward, and technology is getting a lot better. Again, I'm not trying to prove anything to the establishment or academia. my knowledge and my data and my investigations and my YouTube channel has already proved otherwise. So every day I'm just trying to, again, spread awareness. And my TikTok is definitely doing a good job of that. I have always been an investigative journalist, finding things deep on the internet and talking to people. So I have my own self-found evidence, but I have tons of hard drives and SD cards of strange files and strange clips of things way stranger than Bigfoot and paranormal. I think there's many weird things going on in this world, and pretty much Men in Black, I Am Legend, iRobot, Gemini Man, they all touch on it. So you really just have to watch Paramount Pictures, Mount Hermon in the logo. That's where the fallen angels came down. So yes, I'm hunting after the hairy man, but this is angels and demons, and this is the most serious stuff of life.
All right, Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anon here on Spaced Out Radio. Question from Kim coming in. What do you think of the skunk ape?
Yes, I'm a big fan of skunk ape. I feel like he magnetized me down here, but it correlates many different ways. A lot of people think that it is the bad smell, but it actually started with, in the Panhandle right here, there was a Sasquatch with a white stripe that went up his head, and that's how it was originally brought upon the skunk ape. But a lot of people look at the Myakka skunk ape, the two famous photos that were anonymously sent to the Sarasota Police Department, which I found out there's a bunch more photos as well. That creature has fangs. It looks like it has a snout. It kind of represents the Gugway. That creature is definitely different than, say, Patty from Bluff Creek or the Yeti footage that we've seen from the Himalayan mountains. So a skunk ape is a little bit different. In Dave Shealy's skunk ape headquarters in the Everglades, the museum, they have casts that are 3 toes and 4 toes. So that kind of sends me down to, like, are they lizard creatures or half swamp thing or creature from the Black Lagoon? It's definitely a slippery slope. Is it just terminology in that Florida slang? We just call everything a skunk ape. I think that there is a difference between the Florida species and the Tennessee species, but when they come down from the Tennessee mountains once in a while, I'm sure they interbreed, and that's where you find the beauty in between. There is so many different creatures out there, and it really just doesn't even start and stop with Sasquatch. Right in this region, my favorite two are the Mobile Wolf Woman, which is a curvy, hot female dog man, and then also Huggin' Molly, which is a 7-foot tall deity in Abbeville, Alabama. It actually says it. Welcome to Abbeville, home of Huggin' Molly. And she'll squeeze you so hard if she finds you after dark that your bones will shatter, and then she screams in your ear that you go insane. So there's just so much fun folklore in the in-between that you really have to divide and decipher in between it. But I stand proud with my beliefs that there is some kind of roots to reality in everything, and I'm down to investigate it all. And I don't go home, upset when I don't have a grade A encounter, because I'm happy just getting out in nature and untouching the uncovered history of this world, man. It's my duty. Ever since my aunt saw a banshee in Ireland, 80 years ago and was scorned for that, it's in my bloodline, man, and it's just my life, and I love it. It goes from books, films, meeting people, to speeches, to just ranting to the internet, man. It's every day it encourages me just to push further and to follow my strangeness.
All right, let's go to Trippy here, who is asking, why do some Sasquatch seem to be violent, but many are described as peaceful nature entities?
Yeah, I definitely think most of them are peaceful, or else we'd be hearing about missing people all the time and bloodshed. But there are rogue ones, because I've heard many strange stories about their code. They lived a strict code that they cannot harm us in any way, and if they go outside of their tribe, then they're casted and banished away. So maybe the Dennis Martins, the Henry McCabe's, the Cullen Finnerdys, the Jared Adaderos, all those people that met their demise to these Sasquatch creatures, maybe those were the rogue ones, the Ohio grassmans that were breaking into the moonshine stills and eating all the fermented corn. But many different stories and different takes. I definitely think they are, positive beings, but they can be stirred the wrong way if you intrude on them. And many people are ignorant and run full speed, and a mama is going to protect its child. I definitely heed the warnings, and when a boulder is thrown behind me, I take it respectfully. But I'm very honest with myself and the national forest when I'm out there. The national forest, just the forest, the natural forest. I try to just be honest with it. When I bust my ass, I bust my ass. When I'm tired, I'm tired. And when I'm feeling good, I'm feeling good. I just try to be as vulnerable as I can and let it just guide me with the wind. And sometimes I'm lost in the rain, but sometimes I'm finding a whole, lost bootlegging thing that might lead me to treasure. And that's what I'm all about, is that next discovery. And I'm all about the new paths and, uncovering what's probably already been done by the natives, what's already been laid by the mound builders, the sun worshippers.
Before I get to the next question, I want to ask you, I mean, the way I look at it is this creature is in the wild. Okay, killer whales are not known to hunt down humans in the ocean. However, there are rogue pods that have been chased off by their regular pods for whatever reason that turn these pods into more violent, angry type creatures. Could we be seeing the same thing with Sasquatch or skunk ape or something along those lines?
100%. We see it with apes. We see it with dogs. We see it all around the natural kingdom, and we are infringing on them. So sometimes, that will just cross up that people are on the unfortunate end of a situation. But so many people have had positive experiences, and the Hoopa tribe are the most recent tribe that I know of that's been reported to live and to coincide, to trade, to probably mate with these creatures. So our connection is much closer than people draw the line to. I want everybody to know the story of Janice Carter. Her grandfather found fox, a hurt Sasquatch, and basically raised it. And then once he grew up, he started being around the grandpa's grandchildren, and then he started a family. So there's a huge human dynamic, and then she has telepathy from it and crazy knowledge that wouldn't really be accessible outside of knowing the Sasquatch. So there's so much to it, and I just want people to know that there are stories out there. Sasquatch have been killed. Sasquatches have been found by the military. There are people that feed Sasquatch every single day. So all these people that are demanding bodies and demanding DNA, it's all been done, guys. It's been reported in the newspaper, in many documentaries all around the world. And I know not all of them are authentic, but when it has correlations from different decades, there has to be some kind of realness to it.
Do you have any proof on that the government, because that is the big conspiracy, man, about the government knowing about this, and I'm just not sure about that.
They definitely have to know about it. I am good friends with Dr. Wu. He worked at the Smithsonian. He knows all about the giant bones that have been through there. Stacy Brown had a FDR, one of the ranger guys that were right here in the Panhandle, that they accidentally ran over a Sasquatch, and then the government officials came and took it away. I've talked to police officers that were told to hush after it, so there's definitely higher ups. But I've narrated over 10 hours of mound builder excavations. They have so many thousands of these skeletons that range from 7 feet to 14 feet, found from Moundsville, New York Giants, Tennessee Titans, San Francisco Giants, tons of these sun worshippers and mound builders, and they're either facing the east, waiting for the sun to rise, or in a circle covered in rubies, copper, and gold. So there's some kind of divide because they are our ancestors, and they got us living in this rat race experiment. So yes, I definitely think they have it all covered up, and the Nephilim have been in some of those leaked emails on WikiLeaks, so they definitely know about the paranormal, and Iraq and Saddam Hussein. They said he was related to some of these ancient deities, and that he was holding on to some sacred relics that maybe could time travel and stop vibrations. So it really gets a lot stranger. And the giant of Kandahar was a known thing once it came out, and enough men were brave enough and disconnected enough to tell their truth. So yes, once you dig deep enough, you realize that the police, the firemen, the National Park Service, they are all very well aware of these creatures, and I'm sure they are working coinciding with them. I know Steve Stockton has told stories of apes holding guns in the desert, and then I've heard stories of the military raising these Sasquatch babies to use their senses and skills to locate the free ones. So there is a war and a genocide going on right behind our eyes. It's angels versus demons, light versus dark. It's the Matrix coming to life, but they got the shield over our eyes right now. But we have to break free, and I feel like everybody that is like-minded, we have a chance, and let's just keep going with it.
All right, let's move on here as we got about 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the other hour. Grant Tavius is asking, when gathering actual sightings, how many different colors have people reported on seeing? The one he saw was gray.
Yes, gray, black, dark red, light red, kind of like an orange, brown, hairless, translucent, glimmer, pretty much like Predator. Translucent, you cannot see him at all. And then other ones in the deep Florida swamp are green because they're reflecting what's around them. And some people say that's crazy, but there's awesome pictures of white monkeys out there with green faces. It's beautiful how nature can really adapt, and we've seen it with octopuses and many strange things. So yes, pretty much every normal color that human hair is that they represent, but they have very dark skin because they are truly sunburnt.
All right. Nikki on Facebook is asking, have you ever come across a being that was truly aggressive and violent, not just throwing cones or boulders at you, maybe chasing you down?
Yeah, I've definitely ran from a few Sasquatches and just strange noises in my backyard. One time I was waiting for a girlfriend to hook up, and my mom was home, so I had her parking in the back neighborhood, and she was super late, and I was cussing up a storm, and something bluff charged me super hard, and I was already flustered that I ran in a straight beeline back to my house, and I hit my neighbor's garden stake full speed, and I actually broke my collarbone, and it went through my face. So I bounced back and was gushing blood and made it back to my house and ended up telling the girl to go home. So yes, I've had the aggressive ones go after me, but that also could have been just a rabbit or a deer. When we were up at Tennessee, though, in the Cherokee Mountains, we had terrible sense of dread. We just heard a whole day's worth of Old Bear's Den telling us how he's killed a few Sasquatch, and Janice Carter told us that Sasquatch telepathy knew that. So we were thinking, me and Tristan, the two young guys in our camp, the last night, we're going out in the middle of the Tennessee woods, and we felt horrible dread. We were thinking that maybe this creature was trying to make an example out of us, and that was our shortest hike ever. And Mogollon Monster got a huge laugh at us because I was trembling, and I had a really negative attitude while I was in the woods, and his spider senses were going off, and I was just not having it. But that was very passive, but it was internally telling us, no, you cannot go any further. And then one more quick one that was not aggressive, but the doom really was apparent. We were under a blood moon eclipse, me and my brother Jake, the one that saw the Wolfman as well. We were mixing some weird potions and experiments, and we were watching 2001 Space Odyssey come to life, basically. And my cats were down there, and we felt this weird presence creep up out of the woods where I saw a translucent being on the other side of my barn, and you could feel the weight or just the presence. And we got up because we were out of our minds, and we holding sticks. I thought it was my cats, thought it was a deer. We take probably like half the way to it, and we just get hit with a force, and we internally surrender. We lay back down like it was nothing. It was very peaceful. And I definitely live by the vibes, so I definitely read these situations. If you get scared, get the heck out of there. If there's whispering voices, do not linger towards it. If you smell cinnamon, do not chase it, guys. Read your sixth sense.
Great advice. We got 90 seconds left. Quickly here from Gloria. Have you ever been attacked by any creature?
No, they haven't got their hands on me that I know of. I have definitely had sleep paralysis when the elf that sits right on your chest just stares right into your eyes. And I've had nurses during my tonsils and adenoid surgery kind of transform into demons. And that really scarred me on kind of like a paranormal demon dark entity side. I don't really like to mess with Ouija boards and open myself up to that. I'm really careful with the vibes and protecting myself with sage and with my black cats. But one time in Pascagoula River, I was mimicking a Sasquatch, trying to rile him up for my buddy Adam, and I end up jumping from a beam, and I must have got zapped by infrasound because when I landed, I sharded. I had a mistake in my pants, and I ended up having a really bad rash and having to walk for about another mile with that, and I ditched my underwear, wiped my butt with my socks, and Adam didn't even know, but the whole time in my mind, I was thinking David Paulides. And again, when I was in my most vulnerable state, something bluff charged me. It was just playing with me, though. It barely moved towards me, but you got to be protective in all your different ways, and I learned really quick I shouldn't mock the Squatch.
Oh, you squatched, man. You were doing so well until you just squatched. Oh. You can shart, but you can't squatch here on Spaced Out Radio. Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anon. We got him for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. What a great show so far. We'll continue with the Sasquatch talk right after this.
That is in my book, Big Brother Bigfoot, and the Pascagoula Prowler chapter. And the Pascagoula River is really famous for the river alien abduction in the 70s, guys, when the two men were taken up in the spaceship, and there was a female gray that led to small male grays, and there was a huge floating eyeball. It's a great story, the Pascagoula River. And there was more than 200 people on the freaking surface that saw the spaceship, too. So that whole area, man, it's really cool. In here in the Panhandle, you go to Pensacola and Gulf Breeze, which is the capital of UFO encounters, and then Mobile, which you have the tower, and then the Mobile Wolf Woman, the hot dog man, or dog woman, I feel weird saying dog man, and then Biloxi, which has a ton of haunted stuff, Gulf Point, and then, of course, New Orleans, the Honey Island Swamp. So that whole voodoo coast, and I think that's why the hurricanes and Katrina and the Mississippi Monster is coming out of all these ways.
Wow, man. I got to get down to your area. That sounds fun.
Dude, I got 2 extra rooms. My mom lives right down the street. She has the nice farmhouse, so you can get wild here and then have a nice dinner over there.
I've never been to Florida, man.
French bread pizzas here.
I've never been to Florida, man.
Oh, you deserve it, man. From the Everglades to Jacksonville, St. Augustine is, the first colonized part of America, and then all the springs that are here in the Panhandle. There's just so much. There's even a replica of Stonehenge, like right past the Florida border. That's definitely next on my bucket list once I go west again.
Very nice, man. Very, very nice. Hi, Project Blue Book. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Gorgeous Rafaela from Czechia. How are you? And who else has joined us here late? I'm really behind in the chat room right now, so I'm just trying to catch up here. Let's see here. If I don't get to all your questions, do not think that I'm ignoring you on purpose. We're just tight for time here, guys. And it's going to be awesome this next half hour. I'm almost caught up in the chat room here, so that's what I'm paying attention to right now.
Yeah, there's tons of good people in here, man. And it's awesome being after midnight, all of us come together, and we're spreading knowledge, spreading good vibes. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. I already know it.
Greg O'Brien, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, bud. And who else has joined us here? Jeff Steve Garvey. He always bats 300. Let's see here. Almost done. Almost done. I'm at like 2 minutes behind now. Jeremy Jones, what's happening, brother? Bio, welcome back. How's your channel doing? Are you still live there?
Yeah, I'm still live. My
Nice.
phone will probably die in like 20 minutes, so I'll stop it right before my phone dies because I want to see the numbers. But we have 15 people in right now, which is nice. We'll probably have a couple thousand after the hour and 40 minutes of filming, so it's pretty awesome.
Nice. I wish StreamYard had a link to go live on TikTok. That would be cool.
Once you hit 1,000, you'll be able just to set your phone up, just passively. And it's a very passive thing. People come and go, and they bounce in and out. And, that's the thing. YouTube, it's like they're here, they're there for you. TikTok, it's you reach a widespread place, and hopefully you just get them to follow up. And that's what it's all about, is just, spreading the spider web and see what comes back.
Hi, Jose Ernesto Magina. How are you? He says, great show so far, Dave. And the thing about Connor having an accident in the woods just sucks Fifth Avenue. You got that right.
Oh, yeah. And all my boxers are in my laundry right now, so I'm going commando and having PTSD of those stories. I can feel it a little bit on my whole Pascagoula,
Be careful.
the rash.
Be careful. You don't want to shit yourself again before we get off the air.
Definitely. And while I'm talking about Pascagoula, there's an awesome gator ranch out there. And my captain, his name was Sam. He was on a couple gator shows. He passed away. So rest in peace to Sam, and rest in peace my neighbor Larry Big Prine, who was also an old podcaster. He was my neighbor in Lakeland when I first moved in. He was friends with Paul Crockett, who was Charles Manson's nemesis, and he actually camped out with him. And I come from the Ohio Valley, so I'm all about Manson and Charlie. So it's crazy that the couch surfer ends up right next door to the guy that lived with Manson's nemesis. So we had a lot of great talks around the neighborhood.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Bigfoot Anonymous is here. Connor Flynn. You can find him on YouTube, TikTok, where he has over 36,000 subscribers and followers. And you know what? We're having a great, interesting conversation about Sasquatch tonight down in the Florida Panhandle. And we're going to start off with a question here from Nicola for you there, Connor. And that is, do you believe Dogman is demonic?
Yes, I think that some forms of the Dogman are demonic. I heard one story of a high-level Satanist that he said once you get to a certain level, you have to make a choice between turning into a werewolf and a vampire, and only the brave ones turn into werewolves because your bones break every time you transform. But then we hear other stories of the lycanthropes and the rougarou and the lougarou and other werewolf creatures here in the Cajun swamps especially, and especially down here in Florida, that maybe it's not demonic, but it's some type of other type of curse that is kind of like Michael J. Fox, genetic, or you've been bit by a weird, strange, dark wolf. But I think there's so many different avenues that some are demonic and some are probably just men like you and I. One of my friends, his name is Alex, and he says that he turns into a white wolf sometimes in meditation, and he has found fur after. So, the possibilities are endless out there. I definitely think some are demonic from the research that I've heard. Some are shape-shifting creatures that can go taller than the treetops. But again, some are just bad predicaments, so each situation is its own.
Definitely it is. When you are coming across these creatures, what signs are you looking for that you're in an area where there is Sasquatch activity?
Yes, many different tree structures, ground glyphs, strange sounds, and also just no one going there for long times. Things are going to move in. Things are going to get comfortable. So I become the anomaly in these new places. I search for places that human beings haven't been in a while. I haven't acted that way. So I am thinking it on vibrational levels. I'm just trying to remind them of the Native Americans, of the mound builders, of the old ways, and maybe it will bring me closer to them. But TP structures, arches, tree bends, portal-shaped things that are pinned down by others, and then also just weird rock formations on the ground, straight lines, huge footprints, of course, and then, of course, silence. So you have to use your other senses, too. I manifest my expeditions days before. You have to think it. You have to visualize it. You have to write it down. You have to have goals, and you have to set it high, man, because then when a little bit happens, you can just build on it. But again, it comes in many different shapes and forms. But tree structures, no sound, and of course, lots of history. If there have been beds seen across the Japola River in the Apalachicola, there's a good chance that these creatures are still navigating those waterways. So again, just drawing all the correlations and connecting the stars above.
Very cool, very cool. All right. Here's a question from Long Island Bigfoot. What's next for you? Any cool projects or outings coming up?
Whew. Tons, man. I am speaking at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, January 22nd in Lakeland, RP Funding Center, alongside Lauren Coleman, Lyle Blackburn, Maria Mayor. RPG is hosting. I'm going to be at the Skunk Ape Roundtable with Dave Sidoti, Robert Robinson, Stacy Brown, and of course I'm going to bring my strange vibes. We're going to be going to the Green Swamp after that. There's going to be a film premiere of Stacy Brown's new Skunk Ape movie, which I was behind the scenes, and my buddy Tristan makes his film debut, so it's going to be a proud older brother moment right there. I was also selected for the Bigfoot Odyssey 168, the next expedition in South Florida. 168 hours straight in the swamp, 7 days. And I'm going to be with Chris Reinhardt from Discover Sasquatch, BF Bud, Tim T, Johnny Two Bear. I know Barry Brownie's going to be there, Carrie Arnold. A lot of good things, and they've spent like $50,000 on equipment. They're going to deck me out. Usually I'm DIY with the vibes. I'm going to be Inspector Gadget out there. It's going to be awesome. But I'm definitely going to bring my Florida man vibes because I've lived under those bridges. I swept in that swamp, so you got to bring me to that Florida documentary. And then my own stuff, I've currently just released The Void Cat. It's making its navigation on the film circuit. We just got an ovation at the Tallahassee Horror Festival. We were a finalist for a Los Angeles Kaiju Festival, and then a video carnival picked us in the top 3. We're submitting our short film that is about a splinter cat and a werewolf called The Void Cat pretty much everywhere we can, and then we'll go public with it either on YouTube or Tubi or Vimeo. But right now we're just playing by the rules and not going public, so that way it can be in different film festivals. But I'm also filming the sequel to it very soon. The script is just about finished, and I'm super excited. But next Saturday, I'm actually going to be in a horror movie called The Choice that I'm playing a murder victim to a female serial killer, and she's going to have me all tied up in ropes, and I'm going to be bloody and beat up. So it's super fun. I recently just did a commercial for a culinary school for felons. So I wore a bandana, and I was cooking up in the kitchen right here. I'm always just getting into stuff. I just signed a book deal with Beyond the Fray Publishing. They're putting out my 4 books, Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden, Big Brother Bigfoot, Panhandle Pirates, and Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner. They're re-putting all those out, better and enhanced. It's the version 2, the Big Brother. And then my 5th one, every camp has a crystal lake. And that one is about all the haunted schools and summer camps and amusement parks that I've investigated and stayed at. And, all the Ohio colleges have crazy, wild stories. I went to Bowling Green. I was a film student there, and there's a story about Alice. She died in the theater, and you always had to pay respect to her. And a couple of my group members, they would laugh at that. Sure enough, one of our short films never got finished because there was car accidents and threats. But man, I just got so much planned. Of course, big plans for TikTok and YouTube. I'm going to start my own YouTube live show here soon. I'm the co-host over on Horror Talk through Gypsy Road. We talk about urban legends, scary movies, and of course I bring in the Sasquatch and all the other cryptids because it's right there. It's always right there. The Keebler elves, man. Even Will Ferrell, Santa's helper. It's showing us the cryptids. Christmas is my favorite time. Krampus, elves, flying reindeer, the magic. I still remember being a kid looking up into the sky and seeing flashing lights and be like, that is Santa. And I'm big on all those parents out there, don't lie to your kids. Do not say that Santa's not real because there is something to it.
Yes.
And everybody research Admiral Byrd. He went past the poles and found big continents, bigger than North America, and the mammoths are still alive, roaming those jungles.
That's one cryptid I do believe is still alive, is the woolly mammoths in Russia. Up in that Siberian winter, I still think there could be a small pack alive, but that's just me. Maybe I want to believe, but that's what I'm going with. All right, let's get to another question here. Kaiju wants to know, have you ever tried habituating with Sasquatch?
Yeah, definitely. I have broke down all my society norms to try to get closer just to these creatures. And I go out 5 to 6 times a week in my locations that have heavy activity. So they definitely know me very well. And I feel like they've been watching me my whole life. I've seen glimpses in my dreams of them being there up in Ohio, over in California, and in the Arizona desert. Many different glimpses of them always being there. And like many people say, they have their own network of communication. So when one knows how you are, the other ones do too. And that works negative and positive. And I feel like I've shedded my humanity side as much as I can, and they have to notice that a little bit. They got to see, like, this guy is a little bit different than the norm, so maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable with me. But every day I'm trying to communicate with these ancestors on the other side, internally, externally, through my mind, and through my writing.
All right, Nikki wants to know, do you think dogmen are of jinn nature?
Yes, the ones that are shape-shifting and going bigger than 30 feet and maybe scaring people, and the Beast of LBL and the one that tore that girl up in Brownsville, Texas. I think those definitely come from dark creatures, dark entities. And there are so many stories that Swamp Dweller and Dixie Cryptid and How to Haunt have talked about of these Sasquatch going to war with these werewolf creatures. So there is a whole war going on outside of our houses, guys, so wake up to it.
All right, Grantavius wants to know, are there other regions that you've been to that are more active than others?
Yes, definitely. Down here in Florida, there is a plethora. In some of the spots in Ohio, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, Mohican, Salt Fork, those were definitely hotbeds. But it feels like some of the rivers and lakes that I was up to in Ohio weren't as hot of activity. But down here in Florida and Alabama, they are waterways. That is the main way to get through and to navigate. The Honey Island Swamp, definitely a hotbed. California, pretty much just all the ley lines and where the Native Americans have set up their civilizations. That's where the hotbeds go, and that's where I am magnetized to. So I feel like I'm with that drift being pulled towards it. But looking back at all the mountain pictures and I'm missing 401 maps, you could kind of, I don't know, start to see where there is heavy activity and maybe a absence of these creatures. But again, you have to, visualize it all, and a lot of reports don't even get made. So again, you just have to keep your head on a swivel at all times.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Have you ever seen a Sasquatch morph? Okay, because there's a lot of people who have claimed that, they've seen, almost like a morphing into something else. Have you had any of those encounters?
Not really morphing into animals or something else, but more shadows playing tricks with my mind. I am always constantly seeing lights or strange shadow beings out of the corner of my eye, and I could feel their presence. I've never seen it turn into a leaf or a orb like I saw Josh ask earlier, but I've heard many reports of them going into a pocket of energy and then breaking free, and that's how the orbs exist. So it's very cool to think maybe all the orbs are out there from an overabundance or overdose of Sasquatch energy. So maybe all orbs are connected to Sasquatch, but I've had them show up in pictures that I didn't think these creatures were around, but then I've read missing 401 cases that a dad will see flashing lights in the middle of the woods and then rush over because they think he's being saved, and then the son is missing. So the orbs can be negative as well. And I've heard many reports on the blue ones or the watchers, and the red and orange ones or the natural ones. And I've had an orange beam in the light that I always thought was a UFO encounter, but now I hear more people say how powerful orbs can be and that they could be the size of planets. So who really knows what is out there? And that's why they try to dumb us down with these billionaires going to space. No way, man. There's deities up in the sky, and you can't land on plasma. You can only feel it.
All right, let's continue on here. When you go in, are you going in armed?
Not personally. But I definitely go with people that are armed to the T. I usually have a knife with me. I know that's not going to do much to, of course, these Sasquatch beasts. If I would go armed, I did just pass my my carrying class or whatever, which Ron DeSantis is actually trying to push something that you wouldn't even need a license. I think it's all unconstitutional. But the people that I do go with when they're armed, I think that they're, have the gun for panther, for bear, for giant boar, because they know that these creatures move at supersonic speeds, that you're really not going to be able to fire on them successfully. You're just going to make them mad. But I definitely have had situations with homeless people that I wake them up, or I've been forced out of places that they are, that I feel like I need protection. But I also don't want to put myself in that situation. I'm very fast. I'm very good with my hands. Spinning back fist knockout is on YouTube. Broke a guy's face in 6 seconds. So some hobo comes at me, I'm going to Conor McGregor him real quick. You're going to show him my first name. But no, I did pass the class. So because I have been scared in the woods, that I would have felt more comfortable armed. And in a situation like Albert Osman, when you're being taken away over the shoulder or in a bag by something, it would be nice. But a lot of my friends have had their marks on it, the scope on it, and you can't pull it, man. So sometimes it's there for security, but I try to just manifest boundaries myself, and that might end me in the forest one day, but I hope the guidance and the illumination in the in-between will be worth it.
Absolutely. As our guest tonight, Connor Flynn from Bigfoot Anon on YouTube and on TikTok. Daniel is wondering, do you think Bigfoot has evil spirits hanging around them or possessing them?
Maybe some of these rogue ones that leave their camps do. I'm sure they meditate as families, and when they hum, they come together. So they are definitely aware of the dark forces themselves, and just like us, we can be manipulated. So yes, I definitely think there are dark forces, but I've heard stories of them running hellhounds and bloodhounds and having pet dogmen. So yes, it goes different ways. Definitely, Daniel. You my man from the Bend of Florida, the Big Bend.
All right, let's get to another question for Brazelhoff. What about these satanic werewolves, man?
Yeah, there's a great interview from the guy. I forget his name, but I could definitely post it in the next 12 hours. Everybody subscribe to my YouTube and find it. But no, there's a guy, he did a awesome presentation where he talks about like high-level masonry and even the government getting involved and MK Ultra, weird experiments. But yes, man, you get to a point that you have to make the decision to turn into a werewolf or a vampire. And a lot of movies talk about, a lot of TV shows joke about it, but there is a little bit of truth to it. And I think some of these weird entities in the forest are the gatekeepers, are the fallen ones trying to test our purity. And it might come in dogman form, like the old Egyptian hieroglyphs say, or it might come in pretty women's like the siren and the mermaids, like you used to play on the Panhandle Pirates.
All right, let's go to Nose on Scent. Connor, have you seen the big feet on or around UFOs or had sightings that were deemed as being connected?
I've definitely heard reports of them being lifted up in beams, of them pulling out and flying the spaceships, but I've also heard them being very ignorant and being scared of these creatures. And I've also heard the Greys want more information on the Sasquatch, so it really does go in many different ways. But the one most personal to me is Donnie Miller, who was abducted by Sasquatch in Alabama as a young boy, and these Sasquatch are really magnetized towards him. And just from his word and his journey, that has proved that, but I have been out there with him, and I have felt that difference. So I think there's many different people that have been abducted and experimented on, and maybe even marked that don't even know about it. So you got to really untap yourself, meditate, hum, deep breaths, go in hot water, sensory deprivation tanks, fasting, potions, Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds, push your own boundaries, and go be silent for 24 hours and see where your mind goes. Like, there's experiments you could do inside yourself that can provide answers to the afterlife.
Okay. Do you think that, getting in a telepathic consciousness effort with Sasquatch is something that is just a bunch of woo, or do you think it's actually going on?
It's definitely going on. I've talked to a lot of people that they've known stuff that wouldn't be possible without that extra connection. I definitely think there's some people that are just picking up on instinct and they're reading themselves and you maybe drift it towards Sasquatch, but there is a sacred connection between these beings and us, and there's awareness and knowledge and healing, and there's also been people that have been negatively affected by the RF. So again, I've been even self-conscious of that going out recently. I'm like, man, I don't want to get sick from that. That's why I have to, announce myself loud and proud early so they don't even think that I'm any kind of intruder at any bit, because my body wouldn't be able to handle what they got.
Okay. So, with that, have you ever received telepathic communication or had any type of experiences where they've talked to you?
Not direct mind speak, not words in my head, but definitely the sixth sense. Pretty much every time I'm out in the forest, I get down. I try to get to that level. And multiple times, I think it's just Mother Nature guiding me, but other times I could feel that extra presence of maybe ancestor, of more, maybe just myself even more. They could bring more out of you. But no, not directly while I'm awake, mind speak, but yes, they have appeared to me in my dreams and in direct face-to-face encounters, and sometimes it's positive, sometimes enlightening, but other times they screech weird, piercing things that kind of shows me that maybe I shouldn't go to that location in real life, but more through the vibes and through the instincts than direct speak. But I'm definitely trying to open my mind to that, and I'm ready for it.
Have you heard them speak in the forest? Like the samurai chatter that we hear from, Ron
Moorhead.
Moorhead, yeah.
Yes, I have definitely heard weird samurai chatter. I have heard weird yowls, and it sounds like gibbon monkeys. And there are rhesus monkeys down here in the Florida swamps, but it sounds like a bunch of gibbons. And when I woke up in Mayaca, which is the skunk ape capital, I was just hit with strange sounds. And then, of course, Squatch in South Florida, he had it broken down on his audio file, and there was a little bits of samurai chatter. And again, I feel like that is ancient knowledge and frequencies that they might be healing or sending some kind of seance or curse in a way. But some people say that the samurai chatter is from the Asian people coming over and working on the railroads in the early days here, and the Sasquatch would hear them yelling to each other down the railroad, and that's what they picked up. But of course, a lot of reports go way farther back than that. So it's very interesting, all the different avenues of origin.
90 seconds to go with you tonight. Fantastic show. What's your biggest advice for people who are going out in the forest looking for this creature?
Definitely tell people where you're going. Pack extra water. Always be safe than sorry. And also document as much as you can. Photograph everything. Have a recorder going, because in so many instances, things will happen when you're least expecting it. So expect the unexpected. Share love. Positivity will bring you closer than pretty much any kind of technology. Be there for other people. There is moms, there is professionals that have to go to therapy, that have had to give up their house, their life. So don't laugh at people when they talk about the woo, because we are all woo. We are all supernatural. If we didn't have all the pressures of everyday life, we'd be living like heaven, man. So live to your greatest, and, live with love. So you're huge and electric, because when you're scared and mean, you're dark and you're cold. Be loud, be proud, be orange and red. And follow Bigfoot Anon for more big journeys in 2022, because I'm coming.
Dude, this has been a fantastic show, and congratulations on your success with not only your energy and your love that you put into your research, but also what you show on social media too. I think it's pure, I think it's honest, and that's why I loved having you on as a guest tonight, because everybody tries to come in here and put a big chip on their shoulder about what they're investigating and how to investigate. You're just going with the flow, man. It is a breath of fresh air. It really is.
Thank you so much, man. It is meant from the stars, from way before we even went on this journey. Like, this has been so planned out, and everybody being in here, it's so beautiful to finally walk the walk and to become the person you've been meant to be.
Connor Flynn, everyone. Coming up next, we have Swamp Dweller joining us. Then the fedora-wearing John Hudson with the unbiased UFO report. A jam-packed Hour 3 is next. Great show, guy.
That was awesome. That flew by, too. It felt like 25 minutes,
Way fast. Holy cow, that one was cruising, dude. Cruising. Appreciate that.
Dude, I appreciate you, man. You are a true professional. You could tell the journalism background, and I was the head sports editor of my high school newspaper, so that journalism class in those early mornings, it gets you ready for it. And I just love to share knowledge and be that vulnerable vibe out there, because if I can do it, you can do it. I'm Chad Smith, man. You're Chad Smith.
Everyone is Chad Smith. Sasquatch is Chad Smith.
Yes, sir, 100%. If he could do it, we could do it, and that's a beautiful thing. And we're all just, made in the Creator's image under the dome, and it's special. I love it.
Absolutely, man. It's been a blast. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you so much. Now that we're off radio, can I show a few props real quick?
Yeah, dude.
Because heck
Go
yeah.
ahead. We got a couple of seconds.
Real quick, I'll show my books so you guys can see the cover. Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner, Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden. That talks about my journey from the Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps. Big Brother Bigfoot, that's my journey from Cleveland down to Florida, Ontario, all the way to California. That's my research, baby. And then these are my two movies. Zillafoot just came out, guys. It is available in Walmart. Your local Walmart might not have it, but order it online. I play a cryptid research officer, and I'm going to be in the sequel. Going to be really pumped. And then The Void Cat. I'm the main character of this cryptid creature feature. I get summoned by this weird idol, and it's a splinter cat and a werewolf. And we had 2 Bigfoot encounters while filming it, and it was really close to where the Bridges family lives, and they were all over finding Bigfoot, and BFRO even lived on their property. So I'm just surrounded by all the good vibes of Sasquatch, and I'm really excited to be a part of this one. Lost and Found. It's a short film, and it's getting remade into like a 45-minute film. And my character from Void Cat is going to cross over. And I love when universes collide, man. And Swamp Dweller, Trippy Times, Chad Smith, Brown Dwarf, Thin Lizzie Borden, and Dave Scott. It's just a beautiful night to be here. And it's after 1 here in the Central. My phone died, so we won't get to see the exact count on TikTok, but best believe that they're going to come pouring in. And I'm just excited for the future, man. TikTok is definitely going to hit 100K in the next few months. I want to hit 5K in YouTube. I want to get a Nobel Peace Prize and a Pulitzer Prize for the first 2 books. But I got big plans, man.
Well, I look forward to it, dude. I really do. I got to go get ready here for hour 3. Much love to you. I know you'll be in our chat rooms again, my brother, and we'll continue rocking it, dude. We really will.
Thank you so much, man. Looking forward to the future. Keep killing it. Keep bringing awesome guests, and I love the new additions that you're doing and the new expansions. Beautiful thing.
Thank you, my friend.
Keep evolving with the times, and they can never catch up. I remember somebody said, oh man, his novelty will wash off. You know, novelty means like he's new. Well, the novelty is never going to wash off, man. I'm always adapting, always evolving, always finding new stuff to dig into. So no one should have novelty wear off. Not when you're passionate, and my novelty will never wear off. I'm going to be here eternally. Coincidence is the only thing to never exist. And then energy is always never created nor destroyed. It has always existed. So I'm going to be in the chat, man. I appreciate the night. Everybody, check me out in the future. If you see me at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, come get a picture and come out with the green swamp, man. Bring the vibes.
All right, buddy. You take care, all right?
Peace, brother. I will talk to you soon.
Take care, man. Oh, God.
Later.
I love him, man. I love him. Dude, if I had that energy, holy cow. That is about enjoying life, man. That's about enjoying life. If we could all be so lucky in order to enjoy life the way Connor is, man. Look at that energy. You know, he just makes you want to kind of go, hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what it's all about. I love it. I love it. He was a different kind of guest, energetic, just enjoying what he's doing, man. Living life to the fullest. That is good. That is very, very good. We should all be so lucky to live life like that. Seriously. I want to say a big thank you to Dry Toast, Oracles, Phil, Trippy, Ben, Surf Jair ×2, Chad, Fabster, Melissa, Patrick, Christopher, Long Island Bigfoot, Smithy, Steve, Nose, and Obi for the amazing super chats tonight. Really appreciate the love and support. Reminder to all of you tuning in that April 22nd to 24th, we have our Las Vegas party. We're going to be putting it up on the website with the itinerary that is following. And the first 50 people who say, heck yeah, Dave, I'm confirming, I'm going to bring you a swag bag of SOR gear. We got some really cool people. Science Bob is going to be there. Lynn Wallington, the guys from UFO Garage. And we got a number of other people coming in who are going to enjoy the event. Nicole Sakic, I believe, is going to be coming there. A number of real cool people, guys, that are going to be in Vegas. So we want you to attend. Don't forget on the weekends, Lynn Wallington, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You definitely want to tune her in for great interviews that she's getting recently. She's just getting so damn good. And then the after-hour show following Lynn with Big Willie, Gemma, and John. Fantastic, fantastic times. 5 hours of programming on the weekend for you. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to say hello and remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others. Check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. We also want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Check out our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Forgot the clam. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadraphonic. Quadraphonic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, it is time once again for us to head into the swamp. We got another great story from our good friend, the Swamp Dweller. Let's get to it.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller.
Let's try that again. I don't know why that keeps cutting out.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. My name is Johnny. This story happened on June 29th, 2018 in the northern region of Florida. I was 21 years old, working as a beach photographer that summer with my buddy, who had just graduated from college. We both attended the same college in Pennsylvania. Our company put us in a 4-bedroom townhouse with about 10 other people. It was a Friday, and I had the day off. Everyone else was working that day, so I just sat in the house relaxing. As the day went on, I became more and more anxious because I had not done anything active. Usually, I walked at least 10 miles a day on the beach, taking photos of vacationers, and another day on the beach didn't sound as appealing as taking a break inside with the AC and some quality Netflix. But today, I felt I had been too lazy with my time, so I decided to go for a night walk throughout the neighborhood behind our housing development on this nice little nature trail. It's enjoyable to walk there at night, because it's always tranquil, and there is a lot of lovely foliage, mansions, etc. on this walk. I discovered a bike trail that I did not know existed before, and decided to check it out. It goes into the woods, and I thought, why not? Maybe being in the trees will remind me of home in rural Pennsylvania, and relaxed my mind. Little did I know, it would be the exact opposite. The bike trail runs perpendicular to the road and goes along a narrow field of power lines that cut through the woods. It goes for what I would guess about 15 miles at least. I was walking for 20 minutes, and all I could hear was the sound of nature around me. It was very calming, even though the woods always did give me that spooky feeling. It was a nice place to walk, or so I thought. Along my left was the tree line. To my right was the field with a line of telephone poles cutting through the middle of it, and much less thick tree line on the other side, with some swampy marsh areas. It was a full moon that night, so I wasn't in complete darkness and could see pretty much all around me. So, about 10 to 15 minutes into my walk, some clouds came in and covered the moon. It got much darker out of nowhere, so I turned on the flashlight on my phone. I heard a strange noise coming from my right across the field. It sounded like a boar or a pig. It let out a long, low grunt. It didn't sound like the normal sounds that I was used to. It sounded like something had caused it distress. I stood there listening for another sound, but there were no more. I kept walking, hoping I wouldn't hear it again, as it did come out of nowhere, and it startled me. Instantly, I got the feeling of something not being right. All the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I was very unnerved, like I felt like I was being watched. I tried to find where I was on Google Maps, but they would not load because the service was very weak. I eventually ran into another path that veered off into the woods, and there luckily was a map on a board beside it. I stared down the course for a few seconds, contemplating whether to take it. It looked like that cliché shortcut that looks super scary but gets you to your destination a bit quicker. This one was dark, and I mean dark. There was a thick canopy above. As this part of the woods, there was only about a foot between the dense trees and the path on both sides. Without the light of my phone, I would not have been able to see a thing in there. I decided to turn and walk along this path, as it was a quicker way home instead of going back and around the way I originally had came. Then, as I was about to head down the said path, I heard footsteps. I stopped and turned my flashlight off to listen. I wanted to make sure I wasn't being paranoid and scaring myself, but I could indeed still hear them. They were coming toward me from the direction I was headed on the main path. I ran over into the trees and hid because I wasn't about to run into some potentially crazy people out here in the woods. As I was hiding in the trees and waiting for them to pass me, I instantly smelled something terrible. I thought maybe I was just so scared that I soiled my pants, but that was not the case. Instead, it smelled like something decomposing, like the smell of a dead deer carcass baking out in the sun. If you've ever been hunting, you definitely know that smell. The footsteps became increasingly closer. Then they passed me. I counted 3 people, or should I say silhouettes, and I couldn't make out their faces or even their clothes. They walked in a straight line, their heads staring straight ahead of them, and none of them said a single word. The one in the middle was dragging some sort of bag behind them along the concrete. I waited for about 5 minutes until I could no longer see them, hear them, or smell that smell anymore. I started walking down the dark path, slowly but surely. I tried walking quickly, but I wanted to stay quiet, as I was pretty freaked out. I was wearing flip-flops and they clicked my heels with every step, so the slower I was, the quieter I was. I walked for about 10 minutes, and I started to hear footsteps. Again. I stopped and turned off my flashlight. The footsteps were coming from behind me this time. I ran back into the trees and waited to see if those people were going to come back again, and inevitably, it was. They brought that awful smell back with them and walked past me the same way, dragging the bag behind them. Were these people following me? Why did they happen to turn around and come onto this path as well? I stayed out there in the bushes for about 20 minutes or so, unsure of what to do. I didn't know if I should keep going the way I was going or run back. I hoped they didn't hear me though. As I waited, they came by again. Which is the freaky part. I heard a man's voice say a girl's name, this time though.
Barbara Ann Wilcox.
Or something like that. I waited another 5 minutes and just started running down the path. I picked up my flip-flops to make sure I didn't make any noise, and didn't even turn my flashlight back on. I ran for what honestly seemed like 10 minutes until I eventually had to stop to take a breath. I was still in complete darkness, and I turned my flashlight back on to ensure I wasn't being followed. I didn't smell that horrible smell, so I turned the flashlight back off to save my phone's battery and not give myself away. I didn't know how much longer I had to keep going, as this path did not look nearly as long on the map. I began to hear sticks breaking in the woods. They didn't sound like footsteps, but somewhat random. One would break to the left, then to the right a few minutes later. Finally, they started to get louder, and eventually I bolted again. I ran, and I ran, and I ran. I was afraid that there would be something chasing me if I ever turned around. The sticks breaking seemed to follow along on both sides, not too far behind me. It was a fight or flight situation, and I fled as fast as I could. After what seemed like running for an hour, I eventually saw lights and came out of the woods next to a sewage plant. I hurried home along the highway. No one was home when I returned to the townhouse, as they had all gone to a beach party. So I sat down, got a glass of water, and searched the name I heard on Google. Barbara Ann Wilcox. This is where it gets strange. In a nutshell, Barbara Ann Wilcox and a friend were from Iowa, and they were hiking through Florida in the 1970s. On their trip, they were murdered by a man named Gerard Schaefer. The cherry on top of the cake is that it happened in 1973, and the skeletal remains of the girls were found scattered throughout the area, which is known as Oak Hammock Park, in 1977, by a group of fishermen. Why were 3 people, if that's what they were, walking through the woods at night in the pitch black, saying the name of a girl that died 40 years ago, about 7 hours away, in a different part of Florida altogether? And what the hell were they dragging behind them? I'm not sure if I want to know the answers. Throughout the rest of my summer, working in Florida, I continued to do my night walks, but I never went on that bike trail again. So, If you're ever alone in the woods, please be careful. You never know who or what you will find, or worse, who might see you.
We thank Mr. Swamp Dweller for another eerie episode of The Swamp here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to the fedora-wearing John Hudson and the Unbiased UFO Report. Yes, the man who looks more and more daily like a 2022 version of the Bee Gees' Barry Gibb. John Hudson is here for the Unbiased UFO Report. How you doing, buddy?
Good. You know, I sometimes wonder, David, is how much of your audience has any clue who Barry Gibb was or was even alive when he was popular? I'd be vastly curious to see what those statistics are.
Well,
but how are you, my friend?
According to our statistics, our highest audience level is between the ages of 40 and 60.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Our second
and that's kindergarten educated, right?
And high, yeah. Everybody knows who the Bee Gees is who's listening to this show, man. You know?
Okay.
Hey, we're like you, man. We're just trying to stay alive. Stay alive. I'm just
happy you know about more bands than Bare Naked Ladies, you know, so it's all good.
There he is. Mm-hmm. Mr. Barry Gibb. Right there. Look how beautiful he looks. Look how beautiful he looks. All right, let's move on here, John. Not much in the UFO news out there, which is a rarity right now, but a couple of very impactful stories that are coming down the pike here in regards to, number one, drones, and number two, whether or not the Pentagon wants to kind of hide these files. Where do you want to start with this tonight, man?
Well, first I want to start with the drone one, because the drone one is another one of these articles. And, you know, if you guys don't like me reporting on some things this way, please let me know. But I find this more fascinating is it's often not the content of the article that is the most important part. It's other aspects of the article being released and how they impact and how they feel and what they impact, like, to me, is a bigger deal. So in the case of this article, this is an article coming out on the Hill, right, today, right? So this is, you know, saying, hey, there were drones swarming the Navy, and the Navy didn't know what they were, and some people think they were UFOs, but no one has any clue. And you're reading this article thinking, this seems really familiar. And then you notice that they're sourcing the drive throughout their article, right? And you're like, hey, the drive, I know the drive. And then you realize that the entire article is talking about an event that happened back in 2019. Okay? This is something that we already bit into and chewed on a year ago, right? But right now, one, because of the fact that there is a bit of a vacuum of articles, and partly two, because you now have a bunch of new media groups that are suddenly having to source UFO articles and have never had to do so before, you have people like The Hill basically grabbing this old news from 2019, shining it up, you know, making it look all pretty, and presenting it as essentially current, in-your-face, important-to-read news. And to me, that's almost more amazing than even the original drone story was. I mean, why is The Hill so desperate to write an article?
This is now the second time in 2 weeks this has happened.
I know.
I mean, this is a dangerous precedent. A good precedent, but a dangerous precedent.
Yes.
Considering the fact that we are recycling news stories now. This is now the second one that's been recycled. The first one, if you don't remember, was just about a week and a half ago, where it was announced that NASA had called in 24 theologians and religious scholars to discuss life after or out in outer space. Is humanity and religion ready for ET contact? Well, we know that that study happened 6 years ago. So the fact...
and actually... Oh, sorry, please go ahead.
No, finish, please.
I was going to say, but the really interesting thing is that these two situations might actually be the same phenomenon, or they could actually be two totally different phenomenons being the catalyst for those two events. And either one of those scenarios turned out to be quite interesting.
Well, I think it also shows how... I got to put this carefully, because there's some very good journalists working this story. But I think it shows the ignorance of this subject, of how much or how little they really know outside of Luis Elizondo, the Pentagon, Chris Mellon, and Harry Reid. And maybe sprinkle a little David Fravor and Alex Dietrich on there for dessert. Okay?
Yeah. And they don't know enough people. They don't know enough different people to be able to have any sort of a gut check, to have any sort of a back check, to be able to call up a cousin and be like, hey, I know you're into this. What do you think of this, right? Like most people haven't built out those networks yet.
But there are stories out there that need to be told. Okay? I'm thinking, why aren't they interviewing any type of scientist who's part of the SCU? They're doing media availability right now. Why not get a hold of MUFON? Why not get a hold of Peter Davenport from New Fork? Let's get if we need a new story on this. It's not about, many people in the media keep treating this story, John, like it is a United States Navy and U.S. military problem. They're not in the media going through and saying that there are other people out there investigating the phenomena. Right? I understand the sexiness of the U.S. military now clashing with UAP. That's a sexy Hollywood story. It really is. All right? But while everybody is buckled up and button-lipped, if you want to continue to run the story, use your imagination. Go to different angles. Right?
But in the case of this one, and you have far more experience in this world than I do, so you tell me, but how plausible is it that someone said, look, we have a gap, we need to try something new, hey, we need to experiment more with these UFO stories, but we don't want to take any risks. Let's go back and let's find an article that we know hit big on a lot of different mainstreams, and it's something that we know we should get a certain number from. And let's use that as a litmus test. And let's run that story and see what kind of numbers we get, so that we can figure out whether we have an audience for this material or not.
Okay,
is that possible?
Good question. Yes, it is possible, but it's what we call the follow-up. So what we do is we take an old story and make it new again with new quotes, new information, and everything like that. So that's how you do it. You just don't rehash and replay another video like it's an episode of Friends or Frasier.
Right.
You just don't.
And
do that.
I still think in the previous case, that one came off. That one seemed a lot more malicious and sneaky to me than this one does. This one seems like it could happen more pragmatically, accidentally, through ignorance and so forth. This to me seems more human, more typical human behavior.
It does. But I think
a problem.
I think what it is we have an editor who wanted a UFO story, probably said, hey, what's this all about? Let's take a look at it, and ran with it. I think that's what happened.
And I agree. And let me be really clear here. If I were to be talking to that gentleman right now, I would not throw any shade his way whatsoever. I applaud him for printing anything about the UFO topic, especially if it's accurate. Right? I mean, I'd rather him not be regurgitating old stories, but honestly, I'm very happy to see The Hill producing these. So, I mean no ill will toward his way.
And I agree with you. Yeah. We need it. But because any type of information, look, The Hill being mostly an online type of journalism, they need the hits. That's why they're doing it. Okay, they need the hits. That's their revenue. That's where they get their advertising from how many people who are hitting it. But what I'm saying is these journalists who are covering this subject need to understand that there are other people besides who TTSA gave us, all right, to talk to. It's not always about the politicians. We do have a lot of scientists. Like, why not interview Jacques Vallée? Why not interview Gary Nolan? Why not interview Kevin?
I really believe it all comes down to this risk versus reward scenario, Dave. I really do. I think they're just gun shy. I think they have no faith. They have no confidence in their ability to shake down or to do any kind of a break analysis of anyone to decide, is this a safe person? Now, true, I agree with you. Jacques Vallée is kind of like well, duh. I mean, how can you not bring Jacques Vallée on? And it's a damn shame they don't bring someone really safe on like that. Especially because on a good day, Jacques Vallée isn't safe, which is what makes him so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that there's aspects to that, but ultimately, in the end of it, this is just part of the process.
But here's what I'm saying is, it's the wrong part of the process. All right.
You don't think it's a necessary part of the process?
No, I don't think it's necessary at all.
Oh, okay.
I think what it is it shows ignorance and laziness. All right?
Yes.
When I was in journalism, man, we were always looking for an angle. All right? What makes George Knapp such a great reporter is none of his stories are the same. They may be the same topic, but they're never the same. There is always something new.
Yep.
Okay? And there's always somebody else to interview. It's not always the same talking heads giving the same speech. If these journalists were actually doing their job in covering this, which they would have got in their meetings, had the heads of, their editorial meetings, had the heads basically say, John, okay, we need some UFO stories. We're getting a lot of hits on these stories, millions of hits. We need to bring this information. The first thing I would be doing as a journalist is looking for the different angles of how we could tell this story. We know that there's nothing coming out of the Pentagon right now. We know there's nothing coming out of Elizondo right now. We know there's nothing coming out of Mellon right now.
Okay, so then that begs the question, if then someone does respin a story and doesn't do what you just said, which sounds very logical to me, and I would assume would be the norm, right? Then why wouldn't they do that? What would be their motivation for releasing a story and not making a change?
2 reasons. Number 1, ignorance. Number 2, laziness. That's it. They're not being told not to run it because they've already run the story.
Fair. Right. Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
John,
that may be the thing. Yep.
I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here. We're going to continue with John Hudson's unbiased UFO report when we return from the break here on Spaced Out Radio. And also in the final half hour, we are going to have Shirky Poo's news, and we're going to get to the thought of the Dave. A jam-packed final half hour of Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, that was good. Good start there, buddy.
It's interesting stuff.
You know what? I really like this little bit of extra time where we can get into more conversation about the subjects.
Well, I get a lot more out of you for it, so it's nice. I'm able to. You're able to participate a lot more, which is really cool.
I'm having fun with it, dude.
Yeah, no, me too. No, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, this is a perfect example, because I mean, this really touches on aspects of a world that I mean, I probably know more about journalism than like an absolutely vanilla average person off the street, but compared to you, and so being able to leverage that knowledge and be able to get gut feelings from you as to what's normal, what's realistic, what's average, I mean, it's so helpful, and we never had time for that kind of stuff before.
No, I think it's fantastic. I really do think it's fantastic. That's awesome, man. Fantastic. Well, let's do this one too, if we get to it. There we go. Shirky Poo's news.
I want to see the diet of your guest. I'd like to know exactly how many Red Bulls he's consuming on a daily basis. I'd like to know.
Oh, I wish I had that energy, man.
Man, that is. That is cool. That is it's what I can tell you from experience is having that much energy, believe it or not, is even more fun than watching someone having that much energy. It doesn't look that way. It doesn't really seem like that's possible, but it is. Having that much energy, it's
but you know what?
Insane amounts of fun.
You know what I noticed about Connor? And I don't know if he's in our chat room right now or not. I haven't seen him in a while. He might be sticking around. But I'll tell you what I like about him is you could tell it was natural for him. Like he loves these subjects and exploring the unknown so much and studying the woo that it just comes the energy of it oozes out of him. And I really, really appreciated that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. No. You could tell that basically, like, he was telling us the same sort of stories in the same way that he would be telling it at like a backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
To a cousin or something, you know.
And I will almost guarantee you, without knowing him that well, John, I will almost guarantee you that the minute he gets in the field, that it is game on. Like, it's time to, there's a time to have fun, and then there's a time to investigate. And then when he walks out of that forest, that first step out of the forest, the energy from what happened is back.
That's really funny, because you're probably right. And if that's true, I bet you he gets complaints because they're like, dude, like, what's up, man? Like, you're usually like this really entertaining guy, and like you're like all quiet and boring and crap. Like what's wrong with you, dude? Well,
I think when he's live, it's different. I think.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you. I think when they're in the muck, he's probably a quiet, thoughtful dude.
Yeah, I bet you he's got his ears perked up for any type of strange noise that is coming his way. I really do believe that, and good on him, man. Good on him for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. No. More power to him, without a doubt.
All right, we have 90 seconds here. Good times tonight. Want to say a big thank you to Dry Toast, Oracles, Phil, Trippy, Ben, Surf Chair times 2, Chad, Fapster, Melissa, Patrick, Christopher, LIB, Smithy, Steve, Nose, and Obi for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for the love and support. Oh, Bigfoot Anon is in the chat room. He says, it's a weird balance. Got to be serious, but curiosity's still running. Appreciate the kind words, fellas. You're very welcome, man. You're very, very welcome. Well deserved. Yep. Absolutely. And a reminder that Lynn Wallington has a couple of great guests this weekend for your weekend entertainment at the Spaced Out Weekend Show, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for 2 hours. And then to close out your weekend nights, John Hudson is here with Gemma Jade and Big Willie for the After Hours show, where they break down the weirdest subjects known on the internet. I absolutely love both those shows. We're lucky to have both shows on this network, so make sure you go give your love and support to Lynn and the After Hours crew. We'd appreciate that. And here we go, everyone, with the final half hour. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire, checking out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the unbiased UFO report. The fedora-wearing John Hudson is here. Story number 2 that you have for us tonight, John. And there was a big article in the Liberation Times about this regarding...
So this
Yeah, regarding
please,
the
go ahead.
Pentagon
Sorry.
spokesperson attempting to avoid congressional UFO legislation. Is Susan Go in trouble again?
So first off, before I get start laughing at things, very nice article by Christopher Sharp. As many of you may already know him from interactions on Twitter and so forth, and his previous writings. It's a great article. I really recommend everyone check it out. Yeah. So where things immediately get very, very, very interesting is that what he's reporting is that evidently, and it wasn't clear to me whether this was a verbal statement or whether this was a written statement on the part of Susan, but that what Susan Go is basically on the record as saying is that the program that the Pentagon claimed that they already had, the one that we all laughed about, the one that we talked about, like said it was the same thing, but it wasn't really the same thing, and it was just pretending to be the same thing. That thing, she's now still trying to tell people that that's the exact same thing as what was in the congressional bill. And this is a really an astounding thing because, you could understand someone doing this before it all came out. But now it's all out. So it's pretty easy for someone to just go look at them and look at the difference. So I'm really confused as to why Susan Go is doing this because it's very easily checked, and you can say it's raining as many times as you want. If it's sunny outside, you're not getting wet. So I'm in awe, and to me it honestly makes me feel a little bit sorry for her because to me there's no way that she's not aware of this. So she's being forced to do this. So someone is telling her, even though they know it sounds ridiculous, even though they know it makes them not look very smart in certain circles, they're telling her she must do this. And for what reason? I have no clue. No clue whatsoever. To me, this is all risk and no reward.
Do you think it's because they want to try and shut down the discussion? They don't want their stories to open. Remember how many times I've mentioned to you over the last year about this UFO Pandora's box that the Pentagon would obviously not want to open up, not only to other governments and militaries of the world, but mainly to its own citizens. Do you think it has anything to do with that, John? Pure speculation, I know.
Yeah, and it could even be a mix of things, I mean, I agree. I think it's kind of hard to say.
Okay, so with that being said, Susan Go continues to fight the good battle for her team, which is basically everybody who's an alphabet agency at the Pentagon.
Right, but the thing you got to remember is that you can have two cohabitating parties. So for example, you could have like a group within the Pentagon that really doesn't want disclosure to happen for very specific reasons. And then you might have another larger group of people that doesn't really care about that, but as a general policy doesn't want to set any kind of precedent with letting Congress set policy up for our own internal organizations. And so we need to keep this on our side of the house because we need to be able to control it. We need to be able to manage it. We need to be able to curtail whatever information comes out of it. And so we're best off taking ownership of this. Like, is it like which where does it fall? You know what I mean?
Well, I understand that, but I mean, she's getting a lot of egg put on her face here by the comments that she's making, yet she stands staunchly that this is the reason that they're doing it. And when you look at it all, if you ask me, the only people that they're trying to shut down is the public. That they don't want the media talking about this. They don't want elected officials talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't want the public asking them questions about national security or future technology.
No, yeah, no, and they don't independent of any specific goals, they have absolutely zero interest in losing control of the story. They feel they feel it is imperative to the national security of the United States that they control the story as much as possible.
Who benefits from that? The military-industrial complex. That's it.
And even for them, it's kind of indirect. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, that part of me wonders if essentially it's only a small group that really has some kind of specific goal, and the rest of the group is just going along with it just because they just feel as a method of principle that they shouldn't let Congress do this. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been in a situation like that where I've won a lot of people onto my side, not because they agreed with my mission, but because they agreed with the concept of what I was trying to do. Right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like you can gain a lot of followers by widening the scope of what you're actually after. And I just, you know, and the thing is that the other thing we don't know is this one of or two things? Is this just that they want to be able to manipulate what is being said, or do they actually believe that by asserting this the way they're doing, that they could actually affect reality and could actually lessen the authority of the congressional group? Like, do they actually? That's what I don't know. Is this just rhetoric? Is this just all talking? Is this just all, you know, one-upmanship? You know, like just but all verbal, right? Or do they actually believe that this may have a material impact on how that congressional unit turns out? And that I don't know. The second scenario scares me far more. The first scenario I consider to be human behavior. The second scenario I think is a little more worrisome.
Okay, so we got about 2 minutes left. Let's delve into this second scenario.
Well, I mean, sorry, I didn't get to sleep. Remind me again what we were just talking about.
Well, you were mentioning two scenarios regarding what the purpose of, you know, this entire cover-up is, and Susan Go still in denial.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, sorry. So what I was saying was that you know, it's very frustrating. I don't know if okay. So I don't know of any way legally that they could get any of the rules changed for what Congress is putting forth, because what Congress is putting forth is written into law. What the Pentagon had in place was just them creating it themselves, like any company creates a division or department or a business plan or anything like that. They just created it out of thin air. Whereas on Congress side, it was written into law. And so I think, and I could be wrong, I think all they can do is really is hurt the reputation of it, hurt the credibility of it, hurt its feelings, shall we say, right? I don't think that there's anything they can do material-wise to it. But I must confess, I don't know that for sure, because I don't know, like for example, this is a scenario where they could, if there's an aspect of the bill that is left up to interpretation, and the person doing the interpretation feels strongly one way or the other, you could see that interpretation falling one way or the other in favor or against transparency, or in favor or against disclosure, or take your pick of field, right?
No, very true, very true. And it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out over the next 6 months until that first report comes out. Because if that report comes out and it is completely vanilla, that we're back to swamp gas and hot air balloons, I think we're going to know that there is a real war of words going on. And that first report is done, I believe, at the end of June, around June 25th, once again.
I got to admit, Dave, if they really go full force and try to whitewash this whole thing, I will be shocked. I really will be. I will be shocked. I will be shocked, and I will laugh, because I think it'll be absolutely drop dead hilarious that they actually think that everyone's that stupid.
Well, we'll soon find out, John. We will soon find out. All right, John Hudson and the Unbiased UFO Report. We'll talk to you in another couple of nights' time. We appreciate you coming on in. Go get some sleep, man. You're looking pretty worn out right now. All right.
Yep, always a pleasure. All right, thank you much.
Let's get to the news. Shirky Poo, what do you got for us? All right. Here's an interesting one right off the bat. Hunters oftentimes set up trail cameras on trees deep in the woods to see what kind of wildlife lives in the area. But one Montana capture a very strange creature, so odd that it may not be from this planet. Yeah. It was snapped by Donald Bromley's camera deep in the woods of Redgate in Deer Lodge, Montana, and it shows an eerily shaped gray humanoid being. The area where it was photographed is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Bromley told the local media that there are often UFOs, lights in the sky, unexplainable things there. Among the strangeness in this area, cars mysteriously stall on the roads for no reason. Bromley spoke about the image, saying he first thought it was just a person, but the more he looked at it, the more odd it was. It was out of place, and everything just matches the alien persona. The bigger bulbous head, you could tell he has no clothes on. It's kind of a transparent thing. A nearby resident, Patrick Cutler, has produced a documentary about the area and its unexplained incidents. He posted an interview with Donald in which Bromley describes more details surrounding this photo. Donald reveals that he has dozens of cameras in the woods, all with the same type of battery, which lasts a year, but when he went to this particular camera, it was dead after just 2 months. He downloaded the photos, and the last photo it took was of this weird alien-looking thing. Bromley adds that the location of the camera makes it incredibly unlikely that the picture is of a human, explaining that he was only able to access it because it was near a secure private ranch where he worked. But according to him, to get to that spot publicly, it's miles, literally miles to get there, and you probably have to drop 1,000 feet in elevation just to get to that point. It's very unrealistic. Additionally, none of the other nearby cameras were triggered, and they would have been if someone was walking by. This is actually a pretty creepy photo here. I mean, this thing, it looks like 4 to 5 feet high. It looks like it is, you can definitely tell that it is completely human looking, like in body and shape. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. I really don't. I mean, this is just absolutely weird. I mean, I don't get it. And trail cams, usually you're going to get a blob squatch on trail cams. Usually. But this is just way far out human looking. And it does have a big head. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's more ghost than alien, but that's just me. Let's move on here as Shirky Poo's news continues. A British bachelor is taking an unorthodox approach to his search for the right mate. How? He's put up a billboard with his photo. Save me from an arranged marriage, he says. Mohammed Malik, 29 years old, has put up the billboard in Birmingham, England. Yeah, no, he doesn't want to be set up by mom and dad. He wants to actually have a choice in his life. The billboard directs interested women to his website, findmalikawife.com. Malik wrote on the website that a friend suggested he try advertising after he struck out on dating apps. Just haven't found the right girl yet, he says. It's tough out there. I had to get a billboard to get seen, he wrote. Malik said his ideal mate would be a woman in her 20s who shares his Muslim faith. I am open to any ethnicity, but I am a proud Punjabi family, so you need to keep with the Bants, he wrote. The Bachelor said that despite the slogan on the billboard, he isn't against arranged marriages. I think arranged marriages have a place and tradition in many Islamic cultures. In fact, there are many studies that show that arranged marriages have many advantages. I just want to try and find someone on my own first. Malik says his billboards, which are scheduled to remain up through January 14th, have resulted in a flood of responses. I haven't had the time to look through yet, he said. I need some time to set aside and get this thing done. Haven't really thought that part through yet. Well, you might want to. You got a billboard up. A cat was reunited with its Colorado family after accidentally being donated to a thrift store with an old recliner. Oh, the poor kitty. Denver Animal Protection said personnel responded to the Ark thrift store in Denver when employees discovered there was a cat hiding inside a recliner chair that had been donated earlier in the day. The DAP was able to extract the feline from the chair, but employees found the animal's microchip information was out of date. Luckily, the family that donated the chair had discovered their cat was missing and went back to the thrift store to see if the feline had stowed away in the seat. The store directed the family to the DAP. The cat named Montequilla was not injured, reunited with her family, and probably got some treats and scratched the people. Yeah, I would. Why not? Harry Potter fans everywhere were delighted to witness Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Daniel Radcliffe's reunion return to Hogwarts this January, where the trio discussed their time in the franchise that shaped the childhoods of generations. Now, watchers of the highly anticipated HBO reunion special have gone wild on TikTok over an iPhone trick which allows Apple users to ask Siri Harry Potter spells in order to activate specific iPhone functions. TikToker, who goes by the handle of @Eve_Edmonds, has expressed her love for the Harry Potter franchise on the platform, as well as sharing a slew of magical tips and tricks to turn your iPhone into a magic wand. In one of her tutorials, she gives a step-by-step explanation for turning your iPhone torch on with a touch of a Harry Potter magic. Eve says, you need to try this right now. Say to your phone, hey Siri, Lumos. Well, I've got my iPhone here. Oh my God, it did turn the flashlight on. Look at that. It'll turn your torch on. Just trust it. Well, it did. Well, that's kind of cool. In another spell tutorial, she says how to turn off your phone light without clicking a button. She says, oh my God, guys, I just tried this and it worked. Hey Siri, Lumos.
Flashlight is already turned on.
Okay, well, then say, Siri, Knox. Hey Siri, Knox.
Okay, I turned flashlight off.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Son of a gun, it does work. It does work. And apparently, there's more. There's a third spell. All right? So you say, hey Siri, and then say, Accio. Or, did I say? I didn't get that. Could you try again? It's my Canadian accent. Accio.
I'm not sure I understand.
Hey Siri, Accio TikTok.
I'm really more of a listener.
Hey Siri, quiet. That's enough of that.
This is as quiet as it gets.
You can talk back to by my phone. All right, thought of the Dave. Here we go. What would you do if you came face to face with Sasquatch? Evan, tag, you're it. Little Marky Spender, and you only have one bullet. Sparky, tell myself to remain calm so I could think the situation through and do not do something stupid. Joretta, run or play dead. Little Ronnie Moniak, To be very honest, Sasquatch would not catch me, as he would be slipping in the poop trail I leave behind me. Chris, crap, Sasquatch, my pants. Yeah, Andy, I have done so. We just had a nice talk. Kim, I'd buy him lunch. Doug, depends if we're talking actual Sasquatch, skunk ape, loop guru, or a meth head who needs a shave. All things rumored to be out there. Joanne, make a trade? Razor for a wood log? Oh, that's nice. Terry, play some Pink Floyd on my phone, hand it to him, back away slowly, then run like hell. Thank you to everybody in the Thought of the Day. Shirky Poo for the news, John Hudson and Swamp Dweller for hanging on out in hour 3, and Connor Flynn, Bigfoot Anon, for talking Sasquatch all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yeah, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.